This guy's name is Julian. A lunatic. A total psycho. A monster disguised as a man. They call him the Demon of the Northern Front. On top of all that, he's got a full-blown personality disorder. He smiles no matter what the situation is. With titles that terrifying, it's no surprise he's made a ton of enemies. But so what? The moment they show the slightest weakness, he tears them apart without a second thought. Thought that was our main character just now? Nope. This guy right here, that's our real protagonist. His name is Sihu, a young man who spent over 11 years and nearly 38 million won just to see the ending of an online game. And the payoff? Watching the hero he loved get killed off by that squint-eyed villain. Furious, Sihu immediately jumped into a rant war with the game devs. But instead of getting a refund, something worse happened. He got sucked straight into the game itself. Now he's become the very squint-eyed villain he hated. As dusk fell and dust danced in the wind, two figures stood in the battlefield. A blood-stained silver sword dragged across the ground. Julian swung it slightly, looming over the kneeling knight. So even you, once hailed as a hero, have ended up like this, he muttered coldly, wiping blood from his blade. If only you had prioritized your safety back in your fancy estate, Julian sneered, none of this would have happened. The once bright star had fallen, cloaked in darkness and pain. Julian, how could you do this to me? Reich looked up at him, his reflection distorted on Julian's gleaming blade. I supported you like a real hero, Reich pleaded. Didn't I deserve better than this? Can you really kill your own master like this? Reich begged. But Julian's face stayed emotionless. Instead, his mouth twisted into a wide grin. He raised the sword high and laughed with wicked delight. Easy. With a clean slash, thud, Reich's head dropped. Blood splattered everywhere. Back in the real world, a young man with glasses screamed, clutching his head. No. Sihu stared at his computer screen in disbelief. It can't end like this. Panicking, he clicked around. Destroy the Demon King. Begin now. DLC pre-orders now available? This shouldn't have happened. Reich was the Northern Front's hero. He inspired everyone in the darkest times. A legendary demon hunter, a noble warrior, and the main character of this game. He gritted his teeth. How could the protagonist die like that? Killed by the very villain who betrayed his own master. His rage boiled over and he slammed the desk. Damn you from well. I had high hopes for the sequel, and this is what you give me. The screen flashed with pre-order info. Destroy the Demon King. Begin now. Top player, Sihu. Total spent, 38 million won. Registered with from well, 5 years. Playtime, 100,000 hours. I've given you everything, he yelled. Scrolling through the comments, Sihu muttered. So Julian's the main character now? That squinty-eyed guy? But those eyes are kinda cool. Mysterious. Dangerous. I mean, a brutal villain can be kinda hot. Sihu groaned. I can't believe I'm thinking this. He cracked his knuckles and typed. Hot my ass. He's just a damn traitor. His comment popped up. I don't get why that squinty-eyed freak is the main character. Canceling my pre-order. His hand hovered over the cancel pre-order button for a moment, then clicked. Pre-order canceled. He stared at the old game merch around his room. We had some good times, but let's never meet again. Sihu flopped onto his bed and yelled. Goodbye, you scam of a game. You piece of trash. A tear formed in the corner of his eye. But damn, no other game had that kind of graphic quality. That massive world. It gave me comfort when real life wore me down. Sitting up with a sigh, he walked over and picked up a potted plant. You're all I've got left, he whispered, hugging it. Taking care of you calms me down when life sucks. He squinted, misting the leaves with a spray bottle. Now I get why old folks like growing orchids. Just don't turn out like that stupid game, all right? Grow strong. Suddenly, thud. A noise startled him. He turned around cautiously. What was that? A message appeared on his screen. Hello. This is from the developers of Destroy the Demon King. Begin now. Are you Sihu, the player who has been with us for 5 years? Sihu clicked his tongue. From is this some kind of auto-reply? He typed back quickly. Yes, that's me. We noticed you canceled your DLC pre-order. We assume you're dissatisfied with the current storyline. Sihu squinted at the screen. What the hell? They trying to convince me not to refund. Another message popped up. Please click the link below. Without thinking, he clicked it. Suddenly, the screen exploded with light, blinding him. A powerful gust pulled him toward the monitor. His glasses flew off as he was dragged inside. Gotta shut this off, he screamed, reaching for the power button, but the PC wouldn't turn off. No. It's not working. His screams echoed through the apartment complex. The monitor snapped off. Sihu was gone. What's happening? He thought as he fell through darkness. Where am I falling? What even is this place? Light flooded his eyes. Huh? Is this a wasteland? His body glowed with a strange golden light. He weakly got to his feet and looked around. Wait a second. This is where Reich and Julian had their final fight. As the realization hit, a massive scorpion blocked his path. Its giant claws swung at him. He staggered backward in fear. That's the demon scorpion from Destroy the Demon King. Begin now. Suddenly, a system window appeared. Character traits: exceptional swordsmanship. Extraordinary instincts. You can instinctively detect demon weak points. His jaw dropped. A status window? He jumped to his feet and bolted. The scorpion's claws crushed the ground, shaking the earth with every step. If that hits me, I'm done. It lunged again. Sihu ducked low, dodging by inches. Screw it. He clenched his fist and punched the creature's jaw as hard as he could. Panting, he looked up at the beast. Did that work? He raised his toes, still confused. What just happened? He stared at his hands. Something felt off. Even his pants had slipped during the chaos. Have I always felt this light? Then, something clicked. No way. No freaking way. Lisa who? Is this really happening? Am I in the game now? He ran as fast as he could, trying to escape the bloodthirsty scorpion. It let out a chilling screech, forcing Sihu to look up. His hand instinctively grabbed the sword at his waist. I don't know what's going on yet. But his feet stopped. He faced the beast head-on. Luckily for him, the character he'd been transported into was none other than Reich, the one he'd spent thousands of hours mastering. His eyes lit up with confidence. Flames of strength burned within him. He drew the sword and unleashed a blinding slash. The power ripped through the air and struck the scorpion dead on, slicing it clean in half. It collapsed into a pool of blood. Sihu froze in place. Whoa. He wiped sweat from his chin, panting. I actually killed it? That's Sihu power, baby. He looked at his hands, pumped. With this, I can rewrite the story. I can stop Julian from killing anyone else. A system window popped up again. Swordsmanship unlocked. Basic skill, Moonslash. He blinked. Moonslash? But that's not one of Reich's skills. His throat tightened. Wait a sec. He yanked off the hood, held up his sword, and checked his reflection. His pupils shrank in horror. Then, another system message. Appearance: silver hair. Squinty eyes. Emotionless expression. Class: elite swordsman. Perfect mana control. Extraordinary instincts. Vessel of the Demon King. Julian Kreifart Plassen. His mind collapsed. This is Julian? The system chimed again. Speech style: formal. Personality traits: squinty eyes. Emotionless. Two-faced. Extraordinary instincts. Aura of negation. Perfect control of dark energy. Sihu clutched his head and screamed. The blue sky cast its light over the grand white estate. A warm golden glow lit up Julian's reflection in the mirror. A hypocrite, a potential traitor. Julian Kreifart Plassen. The name itself suited a fox-eyed schemer, full of hidden malice. Who would have thought I'd end up as him? Julian pulled at the corners of his eyes. If I open them like this, maybe they'll look this big. He was sweating, anxious. Still can't believe it. He shook his head, letting out a deep sigh. I really have to keep living as Julian? It's already been a week. I've tried everything to get back to reality, but just take me back already. Shaking the status window, searching documents, going over everything again, it only makes me want to scream. Julian sighed again, exhausted. All of it, pointless. Still, the system chimed in. Julian Kreifart Plassen, character trait, speaks formally at all times. He stared at his reflection, groaning. I even talk to myself like this? God, that's annoying. Yet he couldn't help but cover his mouth, stifling a wicked smirk. Gotta say, I am good looking. No wonder he's popular. He posed confidently in front of the mirror. 8-head proportion body, maybe even 9. Meanwhile, the sound of uneven footsteps echoed through the mansion. Julian's face scrunched up, as dark as a burnt pot. Just thinking of that face made him tremble. I don't want to go anywhere. I really don't want to see him. Feels like walking into my own grave. The door creaked open. Heran stepped in, lips pressed tight. Sir Julian, Lord Heran has arrived. Julian's bloodshot eyes flicked toward him. Heran? a direct descendant of the Kryfart-Plassen family. What the hell is he doing here? Seeing the glare, Heran stammered, trembling. Sir Julian. His mind raced. Holy crap, he's terrifying. He stiffened, asking awkwardly, "Is your body doing well, sir?" Julian replied coldly, "Yes. Thanks to you. I'm in excellent health." Heran forced a laugh. "Well, that's a relief. Never thought the invincible Julian would faint like that. Maybe I overreacted." His awkward chuckle only made things more tense. Ha ha ha. Both men smiled at each other, fake as could be, thinking the same thing. What's he up to? Julian kept his pleasant smile, but his head throbbed. Of all people, it had to be Heran himself. What the hell has he been up to lately? Meanwhile, Heran was fuming internally. "Julian, you smug bastard. I come all the way here and you look this calm? You're a real piece of work. Maybe I should try to throw him off." Heran smirked and said, "Julian, I heard a little rumor." Julian tilted his head. "Oh, what kind?" "They say you've lost your memory." The words struck Julian like a bolt of lightning. Memory loss. He shut his eyes, thinking hard. So that's why everyone's been whispering and staring. Makes sense. I have been acting shady. Heran's eyes darkened. They nailed it. Feigning innocence, Heran added, "Oh, it's just a rumor. No need to worry." Suddenly, Julian's voice turned low and chilling. Heran jumped. Julian gave a creepy smile, oozing menace. "And you believe in rumors like that? Oh God, that face. It's horrifying." Heran nearly pissed himself, shaking like a leaf. "Oh, of course not." But inside, he panicked. Damn it. He's not rattled at all. That smile and those eyes. I can't read him at all. Has he figured out I'm here on the Elder Council's orders? Trying to recover, Heran chuckled and covered his mouth. Ahem. Don't mind the gossip from the maids. Anyway, the real reason I came. Even though you're still recovering, the Elder Council asked me to relay a message. The Elder Council, Julian thought. The assembly of nobles obsessed with bloodlines. If someone from a branch family like me is even suspected of rising in power, those old fools lose their minds. Julian, technically from a branch house, was infamous for his swordsmanship and magical talent. So much so that the council saw him as a threat, itching to get rid of him. A message, huh? Better be careful. So what's the message? They want you to oversee the entrance exam for the Veiled Eye as an instructor. Julian processed it carefully. The Veiled Eye, an elite royal guard unit that secretly handles missions for the palace. Only the strongest warriors are chosen. And I'm a member myself. Why would my enemies pick me for this? Sounds fishy. Heran smirked, thinking he'd set the perfect trap. Normally, Julian would sniff this out as bait and dodge it. So how do I convince him? But then, Julian grinned wide. All right, I'll go as the examiner. Heran nearly fainted. But your injuries. Julian casually ripped off the bandage from his forehead. Oh, would you look at that? All healed. Heran gawked. What? Sweat drenched him as panic took over. He just walked straight into the trap. That's it. That's all it took. Julian narrowed his eyes, still unsure of what was really happening. I have no idea what's going on. Might as well butter him up a little. Heran turned to leave, warning. Well then, get ready and come out. I better not stay here any longer. Who knows what that guy might do? Just as he reached the door, Julian's deep voice called out. Oh, wait. Heran's vision blurred with fear. Is he not letting me go? Pale as a ghost, Heran turned. Julian, Before he could finish, a flower pot appeared out of nowhere. Oh my God. Julian held it out cheerfully. I just wanted to give you an orchid. Might help you relax. Heran stumbled out, orchid in hand, legs shaking uncontrollably. He collapsed in the hallway, eyes blank, throat dry. I forgot. They used to call him the smiling executioner. Back in the room, Julian let out a sigh. He looked at the pile of orchids on the table. One pot down. He groaned, remembering. All because of the weird crap I said while unconscious. Now the room's like an orchid field. Apparently, I mumbled. Bring me orchids. I need orchids. And now, what do I even do with them? He reached for his sword. Anyway, he's waiting. Time to get ready. He picked up his blade. Julian wouldn't be stupid enough to go out unarmed, right? And to leave, I should probably wear. He yanked open the wardrobe and screamed. What is this? Why is everything so sparkly? Is he insane? What kind of fashion is this? Reluctantly, he picked out a set. Ugh, I hate this. Still, Julian slipped smoothly into a white shirt. Well, I've got to play the part perfectly, right? The door suddenly flew open. Heran jumped in surprise. Julian grinned, adjusting his cuffs. Heran, I'm ready. Heran's face paled. Let's go. I'm looking forward to the oral exam. So where is it being held? The creaking carriage rolled through the dense, verdant forest. As previously mentioned, Heran sat across from Julian, calmly explaining, the entrance exam for blindfold will be held at the Veal Academy's training grounds. Julian nodded, thinking, Veal Academy, not a major game hub, but I remember it. Naively, he asked, what's it like? Heran looked puzzled. Didn't you already know the academy? You graduated from Veal. Julian clasped his hands, lowering his head. Wow, didn't see that coming. It's been a while. He waved dismissively. I bet it's changed. Heran nodded. Oh, really? Julian sighed inwardly. Phew, a Veal alum? I hope no one remembers the old Julian there. Lots I'd rather forget. The carriage halted. The driver announced cautiously, Lord Julian, Lord Heran, we've arrived at Veal Academy. Julian eagerly admired the academy. It's huge in real life. I've only seen it in the game. Heran, trailing, squinted. What did you say? Julian, excited, flashed a quirky grin. Nothing. Rubbing his hands, he thought, no matter how great game graphics are, they can't match reality. Heran eyed the executioner beside him. Madman, what's with that face? Plotting something? Julian, glancing nervously at Heran, isn't he too scared already? I feel bad. Raising a hand, he said, brother. Heran flinched. Yes, you can go. I'm grateful you escorted me this far. No, since we're here, I'd like to see the exam. Julian's red pupils instinctively widened, glancing over. Thought he bolt. What's that unsettling aura I sensed earlier? Lost in thought. Mana? No, is it some energy bursting from him? Heran, growing anxious. Why were you staring? Julian frowned. Emotions? Fear, maybe. He tapped the system panel nearby. Trait, negative hue, unique rank. You sense negative emotions directed at you, discerning them by the aura's color. Julian realized, clicking the panel. That's it. Heran, still wary. Why were you pointing at me? Reflecting, Julian was adept at reading emotions, especially exploiting fear to win battles without fighting, or using anger to provoke mistakes. This trait explains it. Heran's staying out of fear. Is he watching me on the Elder's orders? The council sees me as a thorn. Understandable, Julian's notorious. With rumors of his amnesia, it's the perfect time for them to act. I can't just sit here. I need to move, survive, and return to the real world. His thoughts were interrupted by a stranger bumping into him. The man bowed. Oh, I'm sore. Before he finished, Julian leaned in with a devilish grin. The youth collapsed, terrified. Lord Julian. Julian frowned. Oh, whispers of fear rippled through the crowd. It's Julian. Fox-eyed Julian. Why is the royal mad dog here? That guy's done for, talking like that. Heran intervened. Julian, calm down. He's young. Julian's face twisted. I didn't do anything. Clenching his fists, I'm the same. He groaned inwardly. I hate Julian too. All that fear down there's aimed at me. Some are scared, others furious. Biting his lip. Julian, why couldn't you be nicer? I'm bad with crowds, but I need to calm them. A girl stepped forward, shielding Julian. Welcome, Lord Julian. Confidently meeting his gaze, unafraid, her ethereal beauty stunned him. Huh? Eileen Donatian, a key character in Demon Kingslayer starts now, a Veal Academy instructor tied to the Adrethan Empire's magic tower. A genius mage, mastering metal in the 5 elements, a 5th circle archmage at 24. Julian mused, she's an excellent teacher. Let me know if you need help, though I'm not sure I can. No way, she gave tons of advice in the Academy arc, but why is she greeting Julian? Cracking his neck. Did they know each other? This eases the tension, but something's off. His face darkened. Wait, I see her negative aura. Bad news. Fear? Anger? No, hatred. Why does she hate me? What did Julian do to her? She's a high mage. I can't act weird, or she'll cause trouble. I need to defuse this fast and act. Julian adopted a scornful, mocking expression. Donatian half-breed. Who gave you permission to speak to me? Eileen's face darkened, contorting with irritation. The air between them grew stifling. Outwardly, Julian smirked, but inwardly, a storm raged. Wow, she's speechless. I know a lot from playing the game, but this isn't calming things, it's worse. Placing a hand on his sword, he taunted, half-breed and deaf too? Thinking, guess I'll keep playing the villain. Raising his gleaming silver sword, he sneered, "Know the sound a person makes when they die?" Julian advanced toward them, smirking wickedly, scared. Huh? Now I can finally calm her down. Before he could dwell on it, Eileen, wielding magic, asked, "You drew your sword?" A golden light enveloped her. Sternly, she declared, "I can't tolerate this. Even you, Julian of closed eyes, shouldn't act this way towards students and professors. This is violence against all of Veil Academy. I won't forgive you." Her actions stunned Julian, sweat beading on his face. Eileen warned, "Prepare yourself. I'm no easy opponent." Seeing her seriousness, the faux villain panicked. "Wait, I was just scaring them to play the bad guy and back off." Eileen charged, summoning lightning that surged toward Julian. He parried with his sword, deflecting it to the ground, shattering the earth. Observing, he wondered, "Are we really fighting?" Noticing Eileen's furious expression, he thought, "She dares turn away?" She spun back, ordering students, trainees, evacuate the area. Terrified by her aura, their faces twisted, shouting, "Run." Fleeing, one muttered, "What's happening? I should have left when Julian told me to." As she turned, Julian's laughter rang out. Seizing the moment, he attacked. Unfortunately, Eileen swiftly raised a protective barrier, countering while saying, "I shouldn't have looked away." Julian closed in, speaking mid-combat. The professor yelped as a greater force erupted, forcing him back. "Didn't expect that. Her attacks are terrifying." Seeing her flushed, breathless face, he guessed, "She's channeling emotions into each strike." Meanwhile, Eileen fumed. "I didn't aim to kill, yet he dodged everything." Typical Julian. She recalled, "I once thought he was the ideal noble." A book flashed in her mind, tied to memories of Julian conversing. But those girls nearby truly admired him. One had wondered, is Julian really just a branch family heir? He's more captivating than mainline nobles. Back then, Eileen Donachian, a Veil Academy freshman, had also admired him. His demeanor inspired her. Julian's so cool, confident, carefree, kind to everyone. Not only well-connected, but his swordsmanship made him the Empire's rising star. She pictured a gentle Julian touching his sword. Eileen had slammed a book seeing him. Her eyes revealed her crush. Watching him, she thought, "I hope my branch family status won't hold me back." But her thoughts shifted. Yes, Julian, that bastard, was someone I admired. I truly believed he could change society's prejudice against branch families. Then, Julian had glanced at her. She handed him a love letter. "Please accept this." Reflecting, back then, I couldn't distinguish respect from love. My trembling hands gave that boy the letter, but I confessed and was rejected. Now, unable to control her emotions, she unleashed immense power. Julian, startled but seasoned, dodged. Eileen, face red with rage, trembled. Seeing her, he wondered, why she's so flushed? That angry. She fumed. "They haven't left? I'm calming down a bit." Julian's lips twitched. Time to end this. He darted behind Eileen, unnoticed. At that speed, she gasped. He struck her head with his sword's hilt. The tension eased slightly. As Eileen faltered, he said, "Why not stop playing here?" She snapped. "What do you think I'm doing? Mocking me?" He grinned. "Oh, come on." Though less angry, she asked, "Why didn't you use Moonlight Blade when you saw an opening?" Questions poured out. "You could have killed me. I sensed enough mana from you, so why?" A teasing voice replied, "Want to know why?" Eileen, face tomato red, speculated, "Does he finally acknowledge my feelings after all this time?" She said, "Yes." He raised a thumb. "It's Heran's first time here, so he doesn't know where the testing center is." Heran, scratching his head, smiled awkwardly, and everyone else was too scared to guide me. Eileen froze, her expectations shattered. Julian pleaded, "Get it now? If you do, please lead the way. Oh, great one." Heran, uneasy, "Can't you speak more politely?" Eileen, disheveled, stammered, "Just for that." The two strode ahead, leaving her stunned. Julian reflected, "Moonlight Blade?" She means Julian's sword. Normally, a sword's aura glows around the blade. But Julian's turns pale blue, like it cradles the moon, paired with his cruel face gripping it. He slew countless demons with it, earning the name Moonlight Blade, out of respect and fear. It's his identity, his power source. So how can I, his face paled, use it? I'm just a normal guy. Eileen's suspicion is bad news. Unsettled, damn, I can't let her find out. His face turned menacing. The two behind flinched. What's he planning now? Julian turned, friendly, HM, something wrong? They stammered, nothing. This way, the training grounds. He confidently entered, blaming Eileen. Hope everyone's okay. Sorry for the delay, Professor Eileen got lost. She grimaced, grinding her teeth. He announced, I'm Julian Kryfart Plassen, overseeing today's closed eyes entrance exam. You've all heard of me. As he boasted, Heran scanned the crowd. Where is he? Spotting a handsome youth with green eyes and hair. There, the second son of the Torso family. Knew he'd show. The Torso family, long tied to the Kryfarts, saw closed eyes membership, a royal organization, as a great honor, but fiercely competitive. The exam is a duel between examiner and candidate. If Julian defeats the Torso son, the elders will use it to oust me. Heran glanced nervously at Julian, who smiled, thinking, here, my bad reputation ends. He asked, you all want to join closed eyes, right? Some, fearful, replied, yes, sir. Julian sneered, a bunch of cowardly rags. He judged, your innocent eyes scream pampered brats. Those sword-shaped trinkets make me laugh. Closed eyes, the place you dream of joining, is the Empire's bloodiest. Extending a hand, as your senior, I'll show you what that feels like. The closed eyes entrance exam begins now. Drawing his sword, he declared the passing criterion, kill me. The crowd recoiled in panic and fear. After Julian's declaration, his body trembled, his grin stretching wide. Oh no, I just realized the entrance exam is a duel. Heran whispered, Julian, it's just an entrance exam, but don't hold back. Inwardly, Julian screamed, duel them. Recalling his earlier clash with Eileen, where he mostly fled, he imagined losing to a novice in a formal fight. Others would scoff. What? He's that weak? He didn't even use moonlight blade. Just baseless rumors. Picturing his anguished face in a sword fight, he dreaded the pessimistic murmur. Maybe he really lost his memory? That's what people would start thinking. Glancing at the candidates, he hesitated. His bigger fear was, if I act too suspiciously, someone might attack, exposing I'm not the real Julian. Gripping his sword, he schemed. In that case, raising a hand, he calculated. Best plan is to unnerve them from the start. He shouted, what's wrong, everyone? Cut your tongues. With a stern face, the exam ends when I'm dead or no candidates remain. The candidates below wavered, trembling, avoiding his gaze. Silence followed his words. Suddenly, a hand shot up. I forfeit. This stunned the others, but they followed. Me too. I withdraw. Amid the surrendering crowd, voices echoed. Me as well. Same here. The second son of the Torso family, flustered, gritted his teeth and raised his hand. I forfeit. Heran and Eileen were shocked. You're kidding. So many candidates, and they all quit. Julian stifled a laugh, his cloak fluttering. Turning to leave, he declared, the exam ends due to no remaining candidates. Outwardly confident, he was inwardly elated. I did it. Julian's terrifying nature always saves me in these moments. He glanced at Eileen, thinking, well, Eileen, does fear of me outweigh your hatred? But her relaxed, oddly gentle expression surprised him. Turning, he saw her flushed face, wondering, I feel nothing. Smacking his head, is negative hue failing? No way a skill just stops. That's bad news. Eileen pursed her lips. His action stirred memories. He reminds me of the old Julian, intimidating foes into retreating without fighting. The system pinged, negative hue skill only detects negative emotions. Heran chased after, closed eyes, Julian. Julian paused. Heran caught up, praising. You did well. Julian frowned, patting Heran's shoulder. Heran, startled. What? Touching him, a dark negative aura appeared. Julian said, nothing. You're the one who had it tough. Inwardly thrilled, negative hue still works. Suddenly, Rustlet burst in like a deity. Good evening, sir. Julian, puzzled, who's this excited guy? Nice vibe. Unfamiliar with him, Rustlet introduced. I'm Raslot, administrative staff for Closed Eyes. Honored to meet you. Talkative, he asked, so the amnesia rumors are false? You passed the exam without fighting anyone. Annoyed by his chatter, Julian thought, this guy's a motor mouth. Raslot added, heard the Torso's second son joined, yet you didn't go easy. Classic Julian. Heran, shocked, pointed, you dare. Implying the Torso's son failed. Raslot, flustered, sir, I didn't mean. Heran snapped, what gives you the right to act smug before finishing training? You know the Torso Kryfart Plassen ties? Julian cut in, Heran, you're misunderstanding something. As Heran began, your Julian continued, or maybe the Torso family is. With a cruel expression, Closed Eyes doesn't accept nobles. Both were baffled. Julian elaborated, managed directly by the royals, Only commoners or fallen nobles can join. Heran pointed. Aren't you a noble? Julian ranted. I'm a branch family member, half Cryfart Plassen blood. I'm the royal's grown dog, not Cryfart Plassen's. The Torso son applied, knowing he'd fail round 2. Gesturing back, is Torso teaching their kid through real-world experience? Pointing. I can't fathom their scheme. Some plot tied to this exam? Heran trembled, thinking, damn, he knows. Clenching his fists, he knows the exam's a trap set by the elders, and I'm their pawn? But Julian dismissed it. No way that's true. Probably just a misunderstanding. Heran avoided his gaze. Julian threatened, if not, that'd be a shame. Back at his castle, servants greeted, you've returned. Another said, welcome back. 2 more, greetings, master. A maid asked, will you dine? Julian replied, no, not needed. Remembering something, he turned, oh, and absolutely no one enters my office. He walked off. The maid obeyed, yes, master. In his empty office, he set down his sword, sat, wiped sweat from his brow, and sighed, reflecting, Heran's reaction confirms the elders rigged this exam. I got lucky today, but how long will luck last? Confused, sooner or later, they'll find Julian's, no, my weakness. Then, I could be ousted from the family. Staring at the sword, he worried about failing to use Moonlight Blade, using it, or recalling Julian's cruelty, grants overwhelming power. If so, gripping the sword, he coated it in blue light, might be worth a try. With that immersed, red-eyed gaze, he aimed to unleash Moonlight Blade's power. The sword, clenched tightly, radiated intense aura. If so, his blazing red eyes, terrifying, questioned, should I try? Smirking wickedly, enveloped in a powerful aura, unleash Moonlight Blade. Opening one eye, he gazed at the sword in his hand, still radiating energy. The blade gleamed flawlessly, its edge unervingly sharp, reflecting his face clearly. He frowned slightly. As expected, activating it isn't easy. Gripping the sword tightly, he recalled Julian's talent, a prodigious swordsman who wielded divine blades effortlessly. He channeled more energy into the sword, his expression stern. The moment he held it, the sword's path, its precise trajectory, flashed before his eyes. After analysis, the system displayed the sword's stats. Infusing energy, he reminded himself, still not enough. He thought of the Empire's renowned figures. Countless sword masters rivaled or surpassed Julian. Dozens, even hundreds, bore notable names. Yet the gap between them and Julian was stark, an overwhelming mastery of aura or mana control. That's why Julian survived despite his radical mindset. Looking at the sword, he slumped. Can I do it now? If mana backflows, my vital organs could rupture. Mana control is insanely dangerous. Sweating, he steadied himself, focusing on the sword. No, sooner or later, I must prove myself. His face hardened, eyes sharp as blades. If mana in the game and this world is the same, then as someone who's played it hundreds of times, I know how. Raising the sword, he channeled mana. His heart raced. I must control the mana flow. Mana gathered in his heart, guided through meridians, the body's mana conduits. Struggling, he controlled the mana entering his body. Of the 38 mana meridians, 6 major ones, called Grand Meridians, included the head's Grand Meridian, linking heart and pure mana directly. His face paled, but he endured. If I can activate that region, opening his eyes, his body surged with mana, elating him. His aura wavered. Holding the sword, he smirked. Now, I need to redirect mana elsewhere. Pouring energy into the sword, his face tensed, enduring pain. The resistance is stronger than I thought, but Julian could do it. The blade glowed. Success. Smiling weakly at the radiant sword. I think so. But the system flashed. Moonlight Blade incomplete. Examining the sword. It's materialized, but weak. A gem appeared on it. What's this? A crescent moon shard? He grinned. At least the moonlights emerged. On his first day at the training field, he practiced diligently with the new sword. A single slash decapitated 3 wooden mannequins behind him. Turning, he watched the severed pieces fall. Sighing happily, at least I'm night level. Surveying the mess, he thought. Now, I just need a perfect Moonlight Blade. But my game knowledge is running dry. Reflecting deeply. I need someone who knows me. No, knows Julian. Someone Julian would seek for advice. A maid approached, Lord Julian. Bowing politely, a guest seeks you. Surprised, he wondered, a guest? Julian has good friends. A handsome youth raised a hand. Greetings, Lord Julian. Stiffening, Julian murmured, Lazarette. The youth beamed. You remember my name? Then panicked. Not because of yesterday, right? Julian, unsure how to respond, thought. How could I forget such a chatterbox? Bold or foolish to act like that around Julian. He cut to the chase. No. Why are you here? Lazarette stood formally, then sheepishly. I'm ordered by the commander to confirm yesterday's Veal Academy exam results from you. Julian questioned. Didn't you see the results? Lazarette scratched his head, receiving them from the examiner and reporting back his protocol. Useless process. Closed eyes was indeed inefficient. Julian turned, leaving words. Report this. No one passed. Got it. I'll inform the commander. Julian stayed silent. As Lazarette moved to leave, Julian called. Wait. Lazarette turned. Yes? With a sinister scheming look, Julian said, You're reporting to the commander, right? Yes. I'll do it myself. Lazarette panicked. Sorry, sir. You'll? Julian patted his shoulder. Yes. Ride with me on the carriage. I'll give you a lift. Lazarette's face paled. What? Trembling, he pleaded. Lord Julian, did I do something wrong? Muttering, It's because of yesterday. Julian sighed, thinking, I was just being kind, thinking he'd find it inconvenient to return alone. Julian, you should have lived better. Since it's come to this, I should seek someone for advice. Recalling the closed-eyes commander. The commander surely knows Julian well. Lost in thought. I'll use this chance to ensure the Kryfart-Plassen family never meddles with closed eyes. The scene shifted to a lavish, gleaming white gold castle. Chu Xe burst into a room. Commander! Commander! Big trouble. A voice snapped. What's the noise? If it's not serious, Chu Xe stammered. He's here in person. Who? Julian Kryfart-Plassen. He came to meet you himself. The handwriting documents paused. The figure looked up. He came himself? A deep purple gaze emerged. That Julian? In the continent of Rosinda, 3 dominant powers are universally recognized. The Adridan Empire, the Holy Kingdom of Fernan, and the Breman Alliance. If one must crown the strongest, without doubt, it's the Adridan Empire. After sealing the demon god Barbados, Adridan capitalized on weakened nations, unifying the continent through force. It absorbed smaller states, rising as a formidable empire. The most striking evidence is the colossal imperial palace, its heart. Even Julian, arrogant as he is, felt awestruck by its grandeur. In stark contrast to the palace's splendor was Lazlet's terrified expression, forced to accompany Julian, the infamous executioner. Since leaving the mansion, Julian wore a faint smile and narrowed eyes, like a mask. This unchanging demeanor sent chills through Lazlet. An eerie premonition lingered in Julian's every gesture, especially his sudden decision to personally visit the palace, despite always delegating reports to servants. Julian strode boldly through the crowd. Upon seeing him, whispers erupted. Someone gasped, What's this? Julian showing up in person. Another questioned, Didn't they say he was injured and amnesiac? He looks unscathed. A nearby voice hushed, probably just rumors. The crowd's reactions were clear. Alongside caution, there was fear and poorly veiled resentment. Amid the gossip, Julian walked unfazed, seemingly indifferent to their words. His eerie smile persisted. Lazlet, however, felt uneasy. Julian, a pinnacle of power, a branch family member who made nobles tremble. In contrast, Lazlet, a commoner, lingered as an apprentice for 6 months. Walking beside a figure like Julian was a great honor, yet it filled him with dread and timidity. Suddenly, Julian spoke, snapping Lazlet from his thoughts. The palace's scenery is always magnificent. Startled, Lazlet stammered, Why yes, sir. Julian continued, Our destination is the second gate, Jiangui Gate. The first, Jiangqion Gate, opens to all imperial subjects. Lazlet replied respectfully, Yes, exactly. Glancing at Julian stating the obvious, Lazlet, new to the palace in the past 6 months, wondered why Julian, a frequent visitor, mentioned it. Fearfully, he thought, Is he testing me? Yesterday's entrance exam saw Julian fail every candidate, including some stronger than Lazlet, a 6-month apprentice. The total failure showed Julian's ruthless standards. Seeing Julian's aloof expression, Lazlet, with his meager apprentice skills, worried, If I don't guide carefully, I might get expelled. But he misunderstood. Julian's words held no test. In the game, the palace seemed smaller. Now, he genuinely didn't know where Closed Eye's building was. He was simply asking for directions. Passing Gyeongcheon Gate, then Gyeongui Gate, they reached a scene of shimmering buildings glowing in daylight, a beauty beyond spectacular. Julian, moved not by artistic appreciation but by seeing game visuals in reality, said contentedly, "We're here." Laslet clasped his hands. "So, Lord Julian, did I pass the test?" Julian, puzzled, "What are you talking about?" Laslet, dazed, "Wasn't this a test?" Julian, eyes closed, teeth clenched, snapped, "No," exasperated. "Why would I test you?" Laslet, overjoyed thinking he joined Closed Eyes, bowed frantically. "Thank you so much. I'll take my leave." He bolted away. As Julian stood confused, a soldier approached, hands behind back. Formal, "Lord Julian, Lord Ordwin summons you." Following the aide's message, Julian headed to the commander's office. Closed Eyes, serving only the royals, had mostly equal members, but one leader stood above, Ordwin Ballader, the fallen heir of the Ballader family, whom Julian was about to meet. At the commander's office door, Julian knocked twice. "May I enter?" A cold voice replied, "Come in." Adjusting his attire, he pushed the door open. A silver-haired woman sat at the desk, greeting calmly, "Julian, hello. Long time. Heard you were injured. Are you all right?" Julian hesitated, unsure how to respond. Was this really Closed Eyes commander or when? He barely cared about the organization, but she was so petite, and a woman, more like a girl. Lost in thought, she pointed at him, shouting, still small as ever, "That's what you're thinking, right?" Julian waved frantically. "No way. Why would I say that?" She pressed, "How's the injury?" "Report." Julian's hands clenched. He pondered, "How should I answer? I can't underestimate her. One wrong word, and I'm done." Lips pursed, sweat pouring, he thought, one misstep, and my true identity's exposed. Better play it safe. Ordwin Ballader was Julian's superior. Even Julian would show respect to his commander. Deciding, Julian bowed deeply. "Thank you for your concern, sir. Though my injury was severe, it won't hinder my loyalty to the crown." He spoke more politely than usual, weaving in honorifics. This should show enough respect. Ordwin fell silent, making Julian nervous. Damn, did I mess up? Moments later, she propped her chin, humming, squinting at him with clear suspicion. Slamming the desk, she stood, approaching Julian. "Strange, you always talk like this?" Gripping her sword, she pressed its hilt under Julian's chin, questioning, "Something feels off, Julian." Ordwin's nonchalant demeanor made Julian's eyes narrow, a cold glint revealing his irritation. "She's doubting me," he thought, sensing rejection in her every glance. A smoldering anger flared within, though his outward calm remained chilling. "She dares question me?" He cursed inwardly, wondering how Julian had dealt with superiors all this time. To dispel her suspicions, Julian boldly seized the dagger in Ordwin's hand. Leaning close, he flashed a sinister smile, his low voice challenging. "Problem?" Inwardly, he schemed, push hard. "I'll play this villain role to the fullest, asterisk." His audacity made Ordwin frown, her eyes sparking with caution. "He dares touch my sword," she thought, yanking it back. Wordlessly, she turned away, her voice icy. "You rarely visit Closed Eyes headquarters. When you do, you just observe quietly and leave, right?" Pausing, she sat, her sharp eyes piercing Julian. "So why are you suddenly so diligent, Julian?" Her words prompted Julian to stroke his chin, feigning unshakable calm. But inwardly, he was a mess. Even I, Julian, thought Closed Eyes separated work from personal matters. "I underestimated you." Ordwin, concealing his turmoil, Julian approached her desk, voice steady. "Due to my injury, I've been absent a while. I'm here to report on that." Ordwin nodded, still skeptical. "Really?" Julian offered a faint smile. "Any issue?" Inwardly, classic Julian, ditched the smug face and pushed forward. Leaning one hand on the desk, he closed in, voice provocative. "Do you even want to control whether I show up?" Seeing his defiance, Ordwin propped her chin, eyes glinting with mocking amusement. "Heard your injury messed with your head, but you seem fine now, huh?" Outwardly teasing, she thought, back and already defying superiors. "This guy's got nerve, Despite her satisfactory response, Julian's expression didn't soften. Frowning, veins bulging, he fumed. Asterisk, she's right, but it feels off. Saying it to my face? Ordwin, you're no ordinary foe. Asterisk. Dismissing his chaotic thoughts, Ordwin picked up a report, voice cold. Then report. Any usable candidates from the recruitment test? Julian, hands behind back, replied curtly, none. Unsurprised, Ordwin raised an eyebrow. Expected. You're Haydenreich's disciple. Ordinary folks wouldn't catch your eye. Her gaze sharpened. But were any strong enough for temporary apprentices? Julian, unfazed. None either. Ordwin's hand froze, eyes darkening. She nearly shouted. What? Not a single one. Julian flashed a fake smile, voice lightly mocking. That's right. Ordwin squinted. Why? Julian, unsure how to explain, stayed silent. His silence fueled Ordwin's anger. Slamming the desk, she stood. Why did you do this? This isn't normal. I suspected your head was off from the start. Pointing at him. Closed eyes is short-staffed. We need even one recruit. Julian remained calm. What's the point of taking useless people just to fill spots? None of these candidates fit closed eyes. Ordwin, nearly unhinged, yelled. Even so, recruit and try them. Some might work out. Julian shook his head, firm, waste of time. They're not even apprentice material. Inwardly, I scared them off from the start. Seeing his stubbornness, Ordwin crossed her arms, voice icy. This isn't working. Get out of my sight. Julian, unruffled, smirked cryptically. Before I go, I have a proposal. Ordwin glared, eyes blazing. What now? Inwardly, she's terrifying, but I'll nail this villain role. Julian pulled an envelope from his coat, placing it on her desk. During the test, I found issues with the recruitment process and summarized them here. Ordwin, skeptical, opened it and read, Issues. Julian nodded, yes. The candidates lacked awareness of closed eyes. Ordwin nodded, as long as they're not fools. She said, before applying, they should know what they're joining, right? Julian added, if incidents occurred during registration, closed eyes takes no responsibility. Ordwin's lips twitched. She smirked. Sounds like you plan to beat someone to death, huh, Julian? Julian nodded, his odd smile heightening her suspicion. Tapping the report, she thought, asterisk, this attitude strange. Julian, second only to me, never meddled in internal rules before. After pondering, Ordwin propped her chin. So you didn't recruit anyone because you feared injuries and liability? Julian smiled confidently. Yes. Plus, talent from a flawed test is useless. We're a royal agency. We can't let anyone tarnish that prestige. As Julian launched into a speech, Ordwin raised a hand. Got it. Got it. You get preachy about the royals. Sighing, I'll submit this to the council, but no approval guaranteed. Julian, hands behind back, smiled politely. Thank you, Commander Ordwin. Turning to leave, Ordwin called, Wait. Julian paused, looking back. A letter from the Royal Secretariat arrived at your office. Check it, Ordwin said, voice calm but eyes sharp. Julian nodded, smiling faintly. Understood, Commander. After Julian left, Ordwin sat, holding the report, muttering. If incidents occur, closed eyes isn't liable? Meaning even deaths and tests are covered by the royals. Asterisk, the test's nature hasn't changed. Only fallen nobles or neutral commoners join closed eyes. They lack influence, so complaints are ignored. Julian knows this. What's his real goal? A thought struck. Asterisk, he's onto the elders and torso family's exam meddling. This proposal says, I know what you did. Try again, and I won't let it slide. Asterisk. She chuckled. Bold move, Julian. Challenging the elders like this. Ordwin shouted. Anyone out there? A servant entered, saluting. You called, Commander? She handed him Julian's report. Deliver this to the council. The servant took it. Yes, sir. Alone, Ordwin sighed. Eyes pensive. Asterisk, one injury, and Julian's a different man. From royal lapdog to breaking his leash, asserting himself. Asterisk, question swirled. What's he planning? Muttering. This is exhausting. I'll have to watch him closely. Exclusive headquarters. Julian strolled leisurely, pride swelling as he reached his private workspace. A rarity in an enigmatic organization that never stayed rooted in one place. Typically, Closed Eyes granted no personal offices. Its members were phantoms, constantly shifting. For such a covert group to dedicate a room to someone, it had to be extravagantly awe-inspiring. Julian smirked, envisioning the opulence awaiting behind the intricately carved wooden door. He pushed the door lightly and stepped inside. Instantly, a scene of staggering luxury overwhelmed him. Lavish garments, embroidered with shimmering gold thread, hung neatly on glossy ebony racks. Bizarre decorations, from a gold-plated beast-head statue to a crystal chandelier glowing with seductive purple hues, made the room resemble a museum of ostentatious oddities. Scanning the space, Julian sighed inwardly. All extravagant, but nothing work-related. Shaking his head, he compared it to his already lavish home, which paled against this excessive display. "This guy's insane," he muttered, thinking of the Julian whose body he inhabited. "Every item's pricey but hideously tacky. His taste is a disaster." Venturing deeper, Julian frowned. The room overflowed with clutter, silk rolls, haphazardly stacked marble statues. Carelessly, he tripped over something, perhaps an ancient porcelain vase, sending it rolling across the floor. "Damn it," he cursed silently. "What's this mess? If you can't care for it, why buy it? Always tossing stuff around." Sighing, he realized this Julian suffered from an unchecked shopping addiction. A sudden sense of someone at the door made Julian look up. "Come in," he called, voice calm but commanding. The door creaked open, and Laslet, a young apprentice, entered respectfully. He saluted. "Greetings, sir. I'm here to deliver a letter from the royal court." Stepping forward, Laslet presented a red wax-sealed envelope with both hands. Julian took the letter, glancing at the gleaming royal seal. "Must be the one the commander mentioned," he thought. Laslet, about to excuse himself, began, "If there's nothing else, sir, I'll—" But Julian cut him off, voice sly. "Hold on." Pointing to the chaotic pile, stone statues, gilded frames, odd furniture, he said, "Take my carriage, load this stuff, and haul it away. Shouldn't be too heavy." Laslet froze, eyes wide at the mess. "All this? Seriously?" He swallowed hard, visibly rattled. Julian nodded, lips curling faintly. "Yes." Facing the clutter, Laslet's brows furrowed, lips pursed as if suppressing a sigh. "Another errand," he thought. "I won't last long as an apprentice." "Huh." Still, with professionalism, Laslet replied, "Understood. I'll move them immediately." He dove in, feigning enthusiasm, but Julian caught the reluctance in his eyes. That weird face again. Julian chuckled inwardly, watching Laslet struggle with a heavy carved wooden bed. Suddenly, Laslet grunted, "Humph," as his foot caught, likely on a gem-inlaid wooden box. He stumbled, crashing to the floor with a loud thud. Luckily, the bed was unharmed. Julian, witnessing the fiasco, couldn't help but laugh, teasing, "My, you're a hassle, Laslet." Laslet scrambled up, clutching a sword, perhaps bracing for punishment. I'm sorry. Can't believe I fell," he stammered, face pale with fear. Julian waved dismissively. "Relax, I was tossing this stuff anyway. No need to overreact." Noticing Laslet's terror, he thought, he's scared stiff. Let's mess with him. Leaning close, he whispered playfully, "If you die here, cleaning up would be a pain. Keep moving the stuff." Laslet, paling at the half-joking remark, stuttered, "Why yes, sir." Seeing Laslet's panic, Julian smirked inwardly. I'm in Julian's body. No wonder people are terrified. Makes sense. Leaving Laslet to work, Julian sat on a red velvet chair, opening the letter. Its red wax seal bore the royal court's emblem, just like in the game. Inside, elegant handwriting read, "To Julian of House Cryfart, Officer of Closed Eyes." Skimming it, Julian sighed in relief. Good, I can read this empire's language. The letter urged his return to duty if recovered. That's it, he muttered, rubbing his chin. Sounds like exploitation, just worded nicely. Still, he didn't complain. It was a chance to gain real combat experience, especially since he hadn't found clues about the legendary Moonlight Blade. Reading further, he mused, this mission's about restoring a resonance stone. Like in the game, after Barbado's defeat, his remnants spawned demons, parasitic or self-forming creatures attacking humanity. The resonance stone, an ancient mage relic, is the only tool to control them. Frowning, how did they craft mana stones? I'm no mage, so this mission's likely guarding a mage restoring the stone. Though facing demons was risky, Julian had no grounds to refuse. If I do well, recent rumors and suspicions about me will fade, he thought. Just, who's the mage I'm protecting? Restoring a resonance stone needs a skilled mage. Hope it's someone reliable. In the lush gardens of Adrathan Palace, a clear voice tinged with frustration rang out. Why do I still write theses as a professor? Always proving myself. Mage life, huh? It was Eileen, the Empire's youngest professor, strolling leisurely. As she walked, she wielded magic, levitating spellbooks around her in a mesmerizing light dance. A sudden tap on her shoulder made Eileen spin, voice sharp. Who's there? Before her stood Diana, her longtime friend, beaming. What brings you to the palace? Eileen asked, softening. Diana replied, Eileen, it's been ages. You good? Harder to meet you than the Emperor, youngest professor. Flattered, Eileen scratched her head, chuckling. Haha, no need to exaggerate. Diana, excited, got time? I'm heading to a tea party. Join me. Eileen sighed, brows furrowing. Wish I could, but I've got a thesis to write. Diana nodded, teasing. Still diligent as ever, huh? You're just like back in school. Noticing Eileen's sour expression, Diana asked, What's up? Pointing to a luxurious carriage. Isn't that Viscount Julian's? Eileen glanced at the carriage bearing the Prazen crest, Cryfart's branch family symbol. It's his, she thought, a complex emotion stirring. Diana whispered. Heard he nearly died, yet he's back. Stubborn guy. Eileen nodded, voice irritated. Yeah. Diana, mischievous. Don't tell me you still have feelings for him? Eileen flushed, waving frantically. What are you saying? I don't get it. Diana laughed. Haha, little Eileen was so cute back then. You called Julian to the royal peach tree on the Academy Hill to confess, right? They say confessions there are never rejected. Embarrassed, Eileen shouted. Stop. Help me review my thesis, dear friend. Diana glanced at Julian's carriage. Thought you were busy, Professor? Eileen forced a laugh. Suddenly remembered I'm free, haha. Diana teased. No need to be shy. Everyone crushed on Senior Julian back then. But you liked him most. Patting Eileen's shoulder, softer. Thanks for the nostalgia. Eileen mused, Diana's right. Julian back then was completely different. Since returning from the Northern Front and joining Closed Eyes, he's another person. Diana snapped her back. Why not say hi? Eileen smiled wryly. Liking him then doesn't mean now. Besides, I'm avoiding him for a while. Diana, curious, why? Eileen snapped her fingers, summoning a radiant aura. I won't be at the palace for a bit. Diana's eyes widened at the shimmering letter in Eileen's hand. Goodness, a royal letter? Eileen nodded, yes. They've tasked me with restoring a resonance stone. As Julian's ornate carriage rolled forward, the kingdom's guards began whispering, their curious gazes fixed on the entourage. A burly guard, voiced deep as gravel, spoke up. With a full night escort like this, it's got to be someone big, right? A leaner, sharper guard nodded, eyes gleaming with excitement. Absolutely. Even the prestigious Blue Lion Knights are here. Rumor has it Lord Julian of Closed Eyes is personally joining this mission. At the mention of Closed Eyes, the first guard flinched, voice trembling with unease. What? But back then, didn't he? The other cut him off, explaining confidently. Yeah, they say he lost his memory from a bad injury. But that's probably just jealous gossip. Surviving the brink of death? No ordinary man could do that. The first guard frowned, skeptical. I had my doubts. A guy like him, smiling like he wouldn't bleed if stabbed. What kind of injury could take him down? Julian, astride his horse, poised yet sharp, quietly absorbed their chatter. A cryptic smile flickered on his lips as he thought. Joining this mission was the right call. Public opinion's swinging my way. Things are falling into place. Suddenly, two figures approached with commanding presence. A tall man with golden hair boomed. Lord Julian, thank you for coming. I'm Fern, of the Blue Lion Knights. His calmer companion added, and I'm Heinrich. It's an honor to meet you. Julian nodded, his icy gaze softening with a mild tone. You Blue Lions have worked hard. Ensure the mages reach Jelen safely, understood. His enigmatic smile made Fern and Heinrich shiver. Inwardly, Julian mused, who knows what'll happen? If a giant demon appears, would I falter? Fern and Heinrich replied in unison, resolute. Humph, leave it to us. Fern glanced at Julian, probing. Lord Julian, would you prefer the carriage to Jelen for comfort? He added eagerly, exactly. Let the Blue Lions handle the escort. You just relax. Julian raised an eyebrow, smile unchanged, but his mind churned. This sounds considerate, but it's not entirely for my benefit. The Blue Lions are the Empire's elite, mostly high nobles. Unlike Closed Eyes, where I'm just a branch family outlier. They don't want someone like me outshining proper nobles, do they? Stroking his chin, his eyes glinted mischievously. In novels, transmigrators live gloriously. Me? A villain stuck in this mess. Riding a horse beats verbal sparring. Finally, he spoke, voice calm but authoritative. I'll ride. Fern and Heinrich exhaled, exchanging relieved glances. Heinrich nodded, understood. I'll inform Lady Eileen when she arrives. At Eileen, Julian's face darkened. He repeated, voice low, who? From afar, a graceful figure approached, long hair flowing in the breeze. She waved, her voice clear as a bell. Lovely day, isn't it? I'm Eileen de Donation, in charge of repairing the resonant stone today. Eileen's gaze met Julian's, and the air seemed to freeze. Her face tightened, while Julian stammered. Fern, about that carriage, can we skip it? Fern blinked, stunned. Huh? Eileen's expression soured. She thought, why's Julian here? Wait, hasn't he always avoided me? Julian, scratching his head, felt uneasy. Eileen's a wild card. I can't read her. This is awkward. The Blue Lion Knights gaped, thinking, what's this? Why the sudden change? Is he flexing his authority? Fern gritted his teeth, irritation rising. Did Julian see through our plan? Staying to oversee the mission to assert dominance? As expected, he's the type who thrives in the palace's chaos without allies. But he's just a branch family, too arrogant. Julian, relaxed on his horse, felt piercing glares at his back. He thought, no one told me the mage was Eileen. Feels like a setup. Eileen, lifting the carriage curtain, shot Julian a sharp look. Inwardly, she fumed. I'm not thrilled either. Let's finish this mission fast, clean, and avoid him again. The escort hastened, navigating winding roads to Jelen. After a long journey, they arrived. Julian, still mounted, surveyed the area. So this is where the resonance stone's kept? Smaller than I thought. All this way from the capital, and no proper welcome. A servant rushed past, arms full of a bulky crate. Glancing at the group, he said hurriedly, You're from the capital, right? Fern nodded, Yes. The servant grinned warmly. Welcome. Thanks for coming all this way. I'll lead you to the resonance stone. At Jelen's ancient clock tower, countless resonance stones floated mid-air, emitting an eerie glow. Nearby, crates of stones and mana conduits were neatly arranged. Someone shouted, Resonance stone crates this way. Mana conduits over there. Eileen, assessing the scene, pointed confidently, I'll handle this. I'm sensitive to mana. The servant nodded respectfully. Mage, would you like to inspect the repair area? Eileen nodded lightly. Yes, thank you. After moving deeper into the tower, they reached the damaged resonance stone. Seeing its dire state, Eileen gasped. Goodness. Repairing won't cut it. We'll need to replace most of it. The servant, surprised, replace it? Eileen smiled, calm but assured. Yes. During replacement, the barrier will briefly drop, but don't worry, it won't take long. The servant's face lit up. Thank you, mage. Touching the stone, Eileen thought, preparations are set. I just need to tell Julian the barrier will temporarily fail. But I don't want to face him. Come on, Eileen. It's work. You're a mage. Stepping outside, she approached Julian, who stood in thought. Taking a deep breath, she began. Lord Julian, I need to discuss. Before she finished, Julian darted away like a gust, as if fleeing something terrifying. Eileen froze, her face darkening. What's this? He's avoiding me? I'm not imagining it, am I? Does he know I had feelings? No, impossible. Fuming, she chased after him, shouting, Lord Julian. I'm talking about something important. Speeding up, she grabbed his cloak, voice furious. Hey, why do you keep dodging me? Julian turned, forcing a sheepish smile. Dodging you? When? You're just tailing me, Eileen. Eileen, teeth grinding, yelled, What? She thought, what's wrong with him? Acting like I'm chasing him. Suddenly, Julian's eyes sharpened. Before them, sinister figures materialized from the void, exuding malevolent aura. Eileen screamed, "Demons!" Julian jolted, "Demons?" Eileen, enraged, smacked his head. "I said the barrier would drop, so demons could appear. If you hadn't avoided me, I'd have explained." A piercing scream rang out. Heinrich, struck by a demon's sudden blow, crashed into the wall behind Julian, groaning in pain. Julian turned, his gaze locking onto the demon. Its deadly aura chilled him. A thought flashed, a tier 2 demon. More dangerous than I expected. Staring at the grotesque demon before him, Julian's heart pounded. This isn't a hornless demon or a one-horned one. A two-horned demon. A real wildcard. Its appearance sent Eileen scrambling toward him, voice trembling. "What in blazes is happening?" Julian shouted sharply. "Stop, Eileen. It's dangerous." Facing the ferocious two-horned demon, Eileen shuddered, eyes wide with fear. A tier 2 demon? Why something this strong here? My current spells aren't combat ready, and the resonance stone's not activated. The tier 2 demon roared, its eerie howl tearing through the air, signaling the lesser demons around it to attack. Obeying, the imps charged like moths to a flame, targeting Eileen's group. One leaped at her, its sharp claws glinting in the dark. In that split second, Julian flashed forward, swift as lightning, shielding Eileen. His sword slashed powerfully, cleaving the demon in two, its body collapsing. Turning, his piercing gaze met Eileen's. "Snap out of it." Panicking over this. "Pathetic. I'll handle this side. You do your job." Eileen, dazed, echoed, "My job." Julian pointed at the resonance stone, voice low but commanding. "Fix the resonance stone now. My mission is to protect you." He flashed a teasing smile. "Or did fear make you forget your role?" Eileen's face flushed with embarrassment and anger. Turning away, she shouted, "I'll fix it in 7 minutes. Be careful, Julian." Mumbling awkwardly, "Don't get hurt. I don't have healing spells." Julian nodded, a confident smile on his lips. "Don't worry. I'm not that easy to injure." Facing the growling two-horned demon, he gripped his sword tightly, thinking, "I talk tough, but I'm terrified. My first real fight, and it's against a two-horned demon. Too many eyes on me. If I flee, rumors will spread, and suspicions will grow. If I'm truly Julian." Sudden hurried footsteps echoed. Fern, leading the Blue Lion Knights, bellowed, "Hold on. We, the Blue Lion Knights, will slay this demon." The knights charged, their swords and shields gleaming in the dim light. After a coordinated assault, they retreated, leaving the demon roaring in fury. Fern wiped sweat, thinking, with good teamwork, a two-horned demon's nothing. He turned to Julian with a mocking grin. "Haha, scared of a two-horned demon? Not like you, Julian." Julian smirked faintly, fair point. But Fern's expression shifted, voice wavering. "Wait, are you smiling?" Julian looked up, his red eyes blazing, face cold yet exuding overwhelming presence. Inwardly, he roared, "Right now, I am Julian. In this life-or-death moment, if I were the real Julian." Before he could think further, the demon snapped its fingers, summoning eerie green flames around Julian. Standing amid them, he mused, "If I were Julian, he'd smile, savoring this moment." A system notification pinged, innate swordmaster talent activated. Julian surged forward like a tempest, sword slashing relentlessly, each strike carving deep wounds into the demon. Fern, watching, gasped, "One slash caused that much damage? Unbelievable." Julian grinned, "It's working." He darted, shifting positions, unleashing ceaseless attacks. The more he fought, the more exhilarated he became, as if merging with the battle. But then, the demon's eyes flared red, locking onto Julian. Their gaze met, and Julian froze, heart racing. Damn it. The monster swung, its powerful blow sending Julian flying. He crashed to the ground, blood spurting from his mouth. Pain surged. "It hurts so much I can't breathe. Even a worm writhes when stepped on, let alone me." Before he could recover, the demon roared, slashing with a devastating strike that sent debris flying. Dust clouded the air. A guard screamed, voice shaky, "No way." Even Lord Julian got hit. Fern, smirking, thought, "Haha, how could he face a two-horned demon? My turn to lead." But another guard shouted, "Look." Fern turned, and through the dust, a figure emerged. Julian, gripping a radiant sword, stood tall. A guard gasped. That blue glow. Moonlight blade. Julian's fiery red eyes locked onto the demon. A system alert sounded. Moonlight blade activated, incomplete. Clutching the hilt, his aura exploded, poised for the next strike, a defiant war god on the edge of life and death. Witnessing the scene, the soldiers gasped. That's the legendary Moonlight sword. I've only heard rumors. Julian felt the power surging from the blade, muttering inwardly, even if it's just a quarter of the original strength, this should give me an edge, right? He raised the sword high, delivering a sharp slash toward the charging monster. Suddenly, his face twisted with wild excitement. The monster's eyes glinted, as if resisting, but Julian struck again without hesitation. He muttered, clumsy movements, but razor-sharp attacks. I see through it all, because I'm Julian. He activated his unique skill, piercing insight. Facing the monster's relentless onslaught, Julian remained unfazed, a faint smile on his lips. With agile movements, he effortlessly dodged the attacks. Deep in his eyes, the symbol of piercing insight flared. Thanks to it, Julian evaded every blow, prompting the watching soldiers to clench their fists and shout. He dodged everything? Fern frowned, muttering, is that really Julian? Scene shift. Elsewhere, cracks on a resonance stone were gradually mending. Eileen studied the summoning circles before her and exclaimed, got it. Clenching her fist, she looked down and shouted, the killing barrier's been restored. Hearing this, the monster roared in fury. What? Damn it, I let my guard down. Its red eyes widened. But at that moment, Julian lunged forward. With terrifying speed, he closed in, eyes brimming with murderous intent. Seeing this overwhelming presence, Eileen gaped in shock. The soldiers were no less stunned. Julian unleashed a flawless sword strike, cleaving the monster in two. After finishing it off, he calmly sheathed his sword and walked away. Passing the whispering soldiers, he muttered, so it actually worked? Sensing their fearful gazes, he thought, this atmosphere makes sense. Julian's a villain, after all. It's natural they'd fear this overpowering strength. From a distance, a voice called, Lord Julian. He paused, puzzled. HM? What's up? A soldier rushed over, grabbing his hand. Thank you, sir. We thought we were all goners. The surrounding soldiers cheered in unison. That's Lord Julian for you. Julian muttered inwardly, didn't expect that. Fern approached, praising. Well done, Lord Julian. Noticing Fern's fearful eyes, contrasting his own calm demeanor, Julian said, oh, Fern, can you report the situation for me today? I'm not great with this stuff. Fern nodded. Yes, sir. Watching Julian's retreating figure, Fern muttered, so different. Truly different. Compared to those nobles, he's on another level. Defeating a twin-horned demon and staying calm? He's not human. Julian approached a serene blue lake. Plopping down, he sighed, wiping sweat from his brow in lingering fear. He muttered, that was a close call. Deep down, he felt the hatred, fear, and despair of facing the demon. Combat's way harsher than I imagined. The feeling of cutting through a demon. Does Julian always treat situations like this as routine? Gazing at his reflection in the lake, he muttered, when the body changes, does the mind shift too? Tapping his head, he wondered, just how vast is the power of this life? He summoned the system. A panel appeared, displaying his unique skill, piercing insight, a singular tier ability combining Sihu's knowledge and Julian's experience. It granted superior observation, easily spotting a target's weaknesses, reading emotions clearly, and dealing bonus damage to fearful enemies. Studying the panel, Julian muttered, two power sources fused to create a skill that sees through weaknesses? With this, I can even dispel others' suspicions. The issue now was the incomplete Moonlight sword. He drew it, examining it closely, muttering, I still need to carve an energy channel. To activate the Moonlight sword, I must pour a massive amount of mana at once. Its power and stability can't match the complete version yet. Needs more refinement. He took a cloth, polishing the blade until it gleamed like a mirror. Seeing his reflection, he muttered, I just thought of a great idea. Scene shift. At the Noble Elders Council meeting, elders sat in the room when the door swung open. A young man in blue robes entered. The meeting's chairman, seated in the center, said, "Sit." Heran nodded. "Yes." He sat, trembling with fear. The leader asked, "You said Julian discovered our plan, Heran?" Hearing this, Heran shook violently, lips sealed, unable to speak. After a moment of silence, Heran stammered, "Why, yes, it seems so." Despite speaking, his body still trembled with fear. Oren replied coldly, "I always knew your incompetence would cause trouble sooner or later. If not for your Hyun family blood." Heran immediately stood, bowing deeply. "I apologize, Lord Oren." Hearing this, the other elders began whispering. One spoke. "Recently, Closed Eyes has been acting strangely. They submitted a proposal to the Imperial Library." Another added, "The proposal states that, from now on, during Closed Eyes assessments, instructors won't be held accountable." A third chimed in, "Even if there are casualties, they'll be declared innocent in the Empire's name." Oren frowned slightly. Suddenly, a man clenched his fist, slamming it on the table, shouting, "Isn't this exactly Julian's scheme?" The other elders nodded in agreement. "Exactly. That royal dog. Who does he think he's warning?" Another spoke. "But Lord Oren, could this be an opportunity for us?" Oren raised an eyebrow. "An opportunity?" He turned, asking, "Lord Aiden, what do you mean?" Aiden replied with a smug smile. "Until now, Julian has always followed the Empire's orders. But now he's thinking and acting on his own. He's become a variable. This could be more useful than sending him to the Northern Front. We can exploit him far better. For now, let's just observe him." Hearing this, another elder pointed at Aiden, shouting, "You mean let that bastard do whatever he wants?" Aiden smiled. "Exactly. Everyone, just wait a bit." Scene shift. At Julian's residence, he was lost in thought. The recent mission lasted only a few days, but perhaps due to expending too much mana, he felt drained. However, seeing the orchids before him lifted his spirits. He muttered, "Still, looking at my room decorated to my taste brings such calm. Orchids, even in this monstrous body of Julian's, they bring peace." He smiled, thinking, "I gained more from this mission than I expected. Not only enough to clear the bad rumors, but maybe even asterisk." He opened a box, the mission's reward. Gazing at the shimmering, colorful crystals, he muttered, "I might have found a way to perfect the moonlight sword. These gems gave me an idea." He recalled, "After seeing the resonant stone, I had a hypothesis. In current Demon King's world, everything can hold mana, especially gems produced by the Empire, with the highest mana conductivity and capacity. That's why resonant stones are so refined." Holding a gem, he muttered, "Based on the principle of channeling energy into resonant stones, I thought of using gems as a medium between my body and the sword. If I find a gem that conducts mana well, one that resonates with my mana, I need to track down that unique gem." After testing several without success, he sighed, "Ugh, overthinking again. Time to eat." He called, "Butler, come in." Laslet entered, saluting militarily. "Lord Julian, I'm here as summoned." Seeing Laslet, Julian thought, Laslet again? This guy keeps showing up. Laslet continued, "The commander requests your presence at the Imperial Library to report on the mission." Julian frowned. "In person?" Laslet nodded. "Yes, sir." Julian stood, leaving his chair. "Then please take these gems to the vault." He thought, perfecting the moonlight sword will have to wait. The Imperial Library. They're so concerned about my condition they're summoning me? Doubts about my amnesia still linger. As he reached for the door, Laslet called, "Lord Julian." Julian turned. "What else?" Laslet held up damaged gems, asking, "What about these broken ones, sir?" Julian replied instantly, "Oh, toss them." Laslet nodded. "Yes, sir." But inwardly, he lamented, Heavens, throwing away such precious materials? What a waste. After traveling, Julian arrived at the Imperial Library. Scanning his surroundings, he thought, so different from Closed Eyes headquarters. This place is extravagantly stunning. Approaching a butler, he said, "I'm Julian of Closed Eyes, here to meet Seden Orvian of the library." The butler replied, "Lord Seden is meeting a foreign guest. Please wait in the lounge." Julian nodded. "All right." Heading to the lounge, he muttered, "Someone got here before me? Must be someone higher ranking than Julian in the Empire." Opening the door, he was awestruck by the opulent decor. He thought, asterisk, this is the lounge? I never saw this in the game. Truly lavish, asterisk. His attention shifted to a sword on a long chair. He wondered, why is a sword left here? Picking it up, he examined it, muttering, doesn't match this fancy room. Though crude, you can tell its owner is highly skilled. The blade sturdy, reflecting a resolute spirit. This inscription, could it be? Suddenly, a voice rang out. Get away from that sword, traitor. Julian thought, no need to turn. I know who that is. The voice continued. That sword was a gift from my master. Before Julian stood a noble lady from the prestigious Ronbell Knight family of the Empire, one of Heidenreich's greatest prodigies. In the game, Julian had killed her. She was Renee Ronbell, the lone lion of Hayden. He muttered inwardly, she might be the key to escaping this game world. Renee Ronbell, a noble lady from the prestigious Ronbell Knight family of the Empire and one of Heidenreich's most outstanding disciples. Her exceptional talent could one day surpass even Julian's. Beyond her skill, Renee's stunning beauty was renowned. In the gaming community, her wedding dress consistently topped popularity polls. Though now inhabiting Julian's body and no longer Heidenreich, he couldn't help but admire her. Renee frowned slightly and spoke, what are you doing with my master's sword? A system panel appeared, displaying a negative emotion, hatred. Seeing Renee, Julian smiled and explained, just admiring it. Inwardly, he muttered, maybe I should tease her a bit to dig for info. He said playfully, I didn't expect someone like you to leave a sword lying around like that. Renee grabbed the sword, replying calmly, ha, you didn't notice? This is my master's sword, not something a reckless adventurer like you would carry around the imperial palace. Getting the response he wanted, Julian thought, she took the bait. As expected, Renee's diligent and upright. Seizing the chance, he asked abruptly, the guest here before me, it's Sword Saint Heidenreich, isn't it? Renee's brow furrowed, her reply cold. What's that to you? Julian covered his mouth, chuckling. Just curious. He was my master once, after all. He thought. Clearly, she has negative feelings toward Julian. Let's see how deep they run. Her grip tightened on the sword, and she shouted angrily. What did you say? How dare you mention my master like that? The system flashed, negative emotion, anger. Seeing her reaction, Julian frowned, muttering, as expected, her anger's intense. I provoked her on purpose, but now I want to apologize on Julian's behalf. Suddenly, someone opened the door and said, Lady Renee, please proceed to the secretary's office. Renee turned, saying, then, goodbye, Julian. After a few steps, she spun back, pointing at him. I hope we never meet again. The butler interjected. Oh, they're calling you too, Lord Julian. Renee's face flushed with embarrassment, wishing she could disappear. Sensing her awkwardness, Julian muttered, just stay cool like Julian. I might meet that master soon. He said cheerfully, don't be so cold, Renee. We did share the same master once. Renee snapped. Not anymore. Never mention my master again. With that, she stormed off. Julian sank into thought. Preparing to meet my favorite character as the one who betrayed them? It's exciting and nerve-wracking, hard to describe. At the Imperial Secretary's office, the butler greeted. Welcome, Lady Renee, Lord Julian. We heard you single-handedly defeated a twin-horned demon. Julian smiled. Haha, just a warm-up. Renee cut in. Where's my master? Julian thought, I'm wondering the same. The butler replied, Lord Heidenreich left after assigning your task, Lady Renee. She fumed. What? The butler continued. And he suggested you work with Lord Julian. Renee protested. Us? Why should I go with this traitor? The butler explained. Lord Heidenreich requested someone accompany you, as this mission could be dangerous. Lord Julian is here. Julian inwardly groaned. Heidenreich, what are you doing? Renee trembled with rage at the thought of working with him. The butler added, investigate the slums in the capital. Julian muttered, the slums? Why care about that wretched place? The butler clarified. Per some reports, demons have appeared there. The slum dwellers don't want direct royal interference. You two are ideal for this. You're tied to the royals, but not royals yourselves, being from Closed Eyes and the Knight Academy. Julian thought, the slums, remnants of nations the Empire conquered by force. It's a melting pot of rejected foreigners who despise royals, so they turn to closed eyes, seen as neutral. Makes sense. He continued, if Renee outshines me in this mission, she'll easily claim the Sword Saint title. Teaming up with her doesn't benefit me, but as the royal's lapdog, I can't refuse. Rubbing his chin, he smiled, understood. I'll take the mission. Renee shouted, what? I refuse. Julian muttered, God, I wish I could refuse too. The butler added, Lady Renee, your master personally requested you take this mission. Renee trembled with anger. Julian turned, grinning, defying his wishes? Renee frowned, paused, then said, fine, I understand. Looking at her, Julian muttered, a knight bearing Heidenreich's disciple title. She'll definitely watch this traitor closely. Problem is, I don't have the strength to oppose her right now. His attention shifted to the gem on Renee's necklace. A strange feeling stirred. Julian shouted, wait. Pointing at it, he asked, what's that gem? Renee replied shyly, Moonstone. As she spoke, the gem emitted a fierce energy, seemingly reacting to Julian's mana. As he stepped closer, Renee turned, what are you doing? Julian laughed, haha, it's just so beautiful. Renee muttered, why is it glowing suddenly? Julian thought. For a moment, it tried to resonate with and absorb my mana. The answer's right here. I need this gem. Leaving the Imperial Library, Julian headed to a gem shop. The shopkeeper greeted, Lord Julian, long time no see. What do you need? Removing his cloak to reveal his identity, Julian said, I'm looking for a gem that matches my mana. Got any moonstones? The shopkeeper scratched his head. Moonstones? We don't have any, and I'm sure other shops don't either. Only collectors want them. They're hard to mine, so we don't stock them. Disappointed, Julian muttered, damn. I need to perfect the moonlight sword before the mission with Renee. He snapped, you're saying I can't get one? Seeing Julian's anger, the shopkeeper thought, oh no, I spoke to Lord Julian like a regular customer. Trembling, he replied, not that. We can search, but we don't have any now. Julian maintained a menacing look. Then find one. I really need it. The shopkeeper stammered. All right, I'll search the empire. Julian thought, God, Renee will notice my moonlight sword's incomplete. I need a moonstone as a precaution. But the mission's here, and I still haven't found one. Maybe I didn't intimidate him enough. After waiting, Julian met Renee. She muttered, your important business was at a jewelry shop? Julian laughed. Haha, one day you'll appreciate Gem's beauty, Renee. She turned, whatever. Follow me. Noticing Renee heading the wrong way, Julian said, hey, Renee, you're going the wrong way. She turned, what? Julian explained, the slums are a maze of illegal buildings and alleys. You can't blindly follow maps or signs. He began showcasing his game nerd knowledge. Renee clutched her map, annoyed. I'd rather follow signs than you. Julian smiled but thought, she's right, but the eastern slums are a death trap for newcomers. Even the developers admitted it's a tough map. Holding the map, Renee declared, I won't fall for your tricks. I'm sure a traitor like you would try to deceive me, the disciple of the current Sword Saint. She continued, I'm not like you, Julian. I'll become the next Sword Saint. Hearing this, Julian gave a wry smile, scratching his head, muttering, she's got me all wrong. This mission won't be easy. As the path grew increasingly convoluted, Renee spoke up. You really want to take this route? Those warning signs aren't just for show. She glanced at Julian, asking, first off, Lord Julian, have you ever been to these slums? Julian smiled, replying, what do you think? Inwardly, he muttered, Sihu has, but Julian hasn't. What should I say? Noticing his evasion, Renee muttered, what kind of answer is that? She asked gently, so, how do you plan to navigate? Julian raised a finger, cheerfully saying, with skill, probably. Renee turned and kept walking, laughing loudly. Haha, fine. Let's just split up. Julian followed, still upbeat. Oh, come on. Didn't the Empire order us to act together? His tone grew serious. Or is Heidenreich more important than the Empire's command? At that, Renee froze. Her brows furrowed, face twitching, and she gritted her teeth, shouting, don't mention my master's name with that mouth if you have any shame. Julian thought, phew, I accidentally triggered her. Renee clenched her fists, thinking, I know Julian's a cut above me. Countless times, People compared me to him behind my back. If it were him, he'd have done it. If it were him, it's a given. If it were him. But I'm the top disciple of the Sword Saint. I'll prove the difference in this mission. After some travel, Renee's face suddenly paled. She muttered, "No way." Julian, sensing something off, asked cheerfully, "What's wrong?" Renee replied awkwardly, "And nothing." Inwardly, she panicked. "Oh no, this is bad." Just like that traitor said, the paths are completely scrambled. They reached a house marked 01A. Renee exclaimed, "What? Damn, we're back where we started." Julian laughed behind her. "Haha, really looped back?" Suddenly, a man approached from a distance, saying, "Hey, lady, you're going in circles. Looks like your first time here." Renee asked, "Do you know the layout of this area?" The man nodded. "Of course. I can guide you, but it's not free. Buy me a drink, and we're good." "Deal." Renee agreed. "Sure, no problem." The man introduced himself. "Name's Baden." "You." Renee replied, "I'm Renee Ronbell." Hearing the name, Baden muttered, "Oh, a Ronbell, huh? Jackpot." He glanced at Julian, thinking, something's off. Julian began, "My name's," but Baden turned away, smiling. No need to care about the guy's name. Just follow me. Unfazed, Julian rubbed his chin, muttering, "Baden? I feel like I've heard that name, but can't place it. Probably a minor NPC in the main story." The trio entered a tavern. Baden shouted, "Where's the owner?" "A drink for me and these two." Julian thought, "He's drinking before guiding us?" The owner asked, "Where you folks from?" Renee answered, "The royal capital." Baden pointed at Julian, "Then 30 nars each." Renee frowned, "30 nars." Baden leaned in, teasing, "What, no money? Prices in the slums are steep, m'lady." Renee replied calmly, "No, 30 nars is too cheap. Really just 30. Seeing her gleaming gold pouch, Baden muttered, "Typical noble girl. This could be a gold mine." He whispered to the owner, "Hey, give those two the special drink, the strong stuff. When these Empire dogs are drunk, I'll clean them out." The owner nodded, slipping powder into their drinks. Baden cheerfully brought the drinks, saying, "Here, drink up. Best liquor in the slums." As Renee raised her glass to drink, Julian snatched it, saying, "Hold on. What did you do to this?" Baden jumped up, shouting, "What are you talking about?" Julian held the glass out. "Then you drink first." Baden blinked. "What?" Julian's face darkened. "Shall I pour it down your throat?" Renee stood, shouting, "Stop, Julian." Hearing the name, Baden and the owner froze. The owner hissed at Baden, "You brought that Empire dog Julian here? Now what?" Sweat beaded on Baden's face as he replied, "It's fine. I've got guys in the tavern. A few of the slum's toughest beasts will do. And I'm no pushover." He secretly drew a hidden sword, ready to strike. Julian smashed the glass, saying coldly, "I gave you a chance, and you still won't talk? Planning to attack us?" As he spoke, a buzzcut thug charged, swinging his sword. Julian calmly grabbed his throat. Another attacked from behind, but with lightning reflexes, Julian spun, landing a punch that sent him crashing into a corner. After handling the two, Julian glanced at Renee, unfazed. She drew her sword in defense, panicking. "What the hell's going on?" Seeing their strength, Baden's goons muttered, "Completely dominated by one guy?" Julian's eyes turned icy as he pressed a shard of glass to Baden's neck, making him tremble. Scanning the tavern, Julian noticed the patrons were Baden's men. He said coldly, "Baden, you tried to stop me earlier? Tell your buddies to back off, or I'll unleash this killing intent. Let them know they'll end up like this broken glass." Baden shook, speechless. Julian pressed, "Speak." A thug behind shouted, "Lord Baden." Baden turned, yelling, "Didn't you hear Lord Julian? Get out." The goons scrambled for the door. Julian slammed his hand on the table. "You're stubborn. Answer my questions, and I'll ensure your safe surrender." Baden jolted, stammering, "Surrender." Julian stood, his voice heavy. "Between death and surrender, I suggest surrender." "What's it gonna be?" With no way out, Baden trembled. I surrender." Baden looked up at Julian, his red eyes glinting with a mocking smile. Behind him, the cold voice of the swordswoman rang out as her sharp blade pressed against Baden's back. "That's right. I suggest you surrender instead of dying." Baden shakily raised his hands in surrender under the threatening pressure. "Baden, what's your choice?" Julian asked. Bowing his head in defeat, Baden muttered, "I surrender. I'll do it." The two stepped out of the tavern. Julian walked ahead, saying, "He was suspicious from the moment he offered to guide us. Who would have thought he'd lead us to a gang of criminals in the slums?" He held a piece of paper, flashing a radiant smile. "I thought he was just a cheap thug, but he turned out to be quite useful. I got some valuable information." Renee trailed behind, head lowered in self-blame. "It's my fault for not noticing sooner." Julian remained optimistic, nodding at her admission. "Of course, Lady Renee, someone like you has probably never encountered that kind of person in your life." Renee bowed her head lower, lips pressed tightly. "Oh no, is she losing confidence?" After a moment of silence, she asked, "How did you know?" Julian turned back. "Know what?" "That Baden spiked the drink," she emphasized. Julian smiled, replying, "Is that what you're curious about?" The swordswoman insisted. "Tell me." Julian looked at Renee, her hands clasped tightly, her face serious. He thought to himself, she's willing to learn, even from someone she dislikes, prioritizing progress over temporary shame. That's Renee Rondell. Seeing her tremble, not from fear, but something else, he hesitated slightly before explaining. "It'd be better if she weren't so hostile toward me." Julian raised his hand, a blue light swirling around it. "I sensed hostility in the glass. Actually, I felt it before we even entered the tavern, thanks to my mana detection ability." Renee, surprised, repeated, "Mana detection ability?" A system-like notification flashed in her mind. Julian continued, "Everything, objects, creatures, situations, has natural mana, and it reacts strongly to other mana." He turned, pale blue mana shimmering around him. "Before we entered, I used mana." He recalled how Baden, while guiding them to the tavern, had emitted a strange, hostile mana. "It detects aggressive mana." Renee rubbed her chin, picturing it like a bat's radar waves. "Right." Julian gave a wry smile. "Let's say that." He grinned, mana radiating from his body. "It's a skill mages often use, but with my abundant mana, I can detect it easily." Renee tilted her head, frowning. "I have another question." She recalled their earlier conversation. "You didn't ask Baden about demons, but about living conditions in the slums." Julian smiled, admitting, "That's right." Renee, confused, asked, "Weren't we here to investigate demons?" Julian kept smiling as if nothing was wrong, leaving Renee even more puzzled. "Normally, yes," he said, then turned the question back. "What do you know about demonization?" The swordswoman hesitated, answering, "Remnants of the demon king Barbados possess non-human creatures." She pictured a ferocious demon with long horns transforming its victims. "Isn't that what demonization means?" Julian gently replied, "Usually, yes, but the geography of these slums is unusual. The capital near the slums is surrounded by resonating stones. No demon can enter. There's no forest nearby either, so no animals, only humans." Renee paled as the realization hit. Her body stiffened, trembling. "So you're saying humans are the only hosts left?" Julian smiled, thinking, just like in the game. He nodded slightly. "Yes, I believe the humans here are being demonized." Renee clutched her forehead, shaking her head in disbelief. "I was foolish to trust you even a little." Julian confidently raised 3 fingers. 3 houses, he grinned. "That's how many will visit the apothecary for fever medicine this week. They say high fever is a sign of demonization, right? If I'm wrong, I'll do whatever you want, Lady Renee." Renee remained uneasy, thinking, what should I do? Should I trust his empty words? As the sun set, the sky glowed red, and a few black birds flew overhead, cawing in alarm. Renee smiled brightly, sighing in relief. Only one house left. Julian followed, praising, "You look pleased." She glanced at him, waving her hand excitedly. "What you said about humans being demonized, if we haven't seen it, isn't that a good thing?" Julian nodded in agreement. "I think so too." They reached the final house. Julian thought, this is the last house. I hope it's real. He knocked a few times, then stopped. No one was home. An old man with bloodshot eyes peered out, asking wearily, "Who's there?" Julian leaned in, observing. "What's this?" Not demonized yet, but he smiled warmly. "How are you today, sir?" He thought, this sneakiness, he's hiding something. Sniffing the air, he thought, "This smell, I've encountered it in missions involving resonating stones." Rubbing his chin, he boldly guessed, "The smell of demon blood." Renee spoke up. "Hello, we're from the court." The old man froze. "I'm Julian Cryartson of One Eye," Julian added. The old man's eyes widened in shock. One Eye Julian. His demeanor shifted abruptly, shouting, "Get out! Stay away from my house." As the door slammed, Julian pushed it hard, the door flying open, and the old man tumbled to the floor. Brushing his hands, Julian looked down. "Thanks for your cooperation." Renee, worried, pleaded, "Julian, at least explain what's going on." Ignoring her, Julian stepped forward, his voice mocking. "You're too kind, Lady Renee." The swordswoman grew more confused. "What do you mean?" Julian's red eyes glinted, his smile grim. "One day, that kindness will exhaust you." Without further explanation, he approached a door locked with iron chains, ignoring Renee's protests. "We're here to investigate, not hunt. Do you think the Empire will approve of this force?" He replied coldly. "The Empire only cares about results, Lady Renee." Her eyes widened in shock. "What?" Julian held up the paper, eyeing a steaming bowl of soup on the table. "Having dinner, sir? According to housing records, you live with your son, but this is a portion for 3. The old man pointed, stammering, I have guests." Julian stirred the soup, smirking. "This soup is unusually red. So you're not just here for fever medicine." He grinned, pointing at the bowl. "You spiked the soup to drug your guests, to feed them, right?" He pointed at the locked door. "To the demon behind that door, right?" Renee's jaw dropped in shock, while the old man trembled, speechless. Suddenly, he lunged for the door, shouting, "Run, my son." He fumbled with the key, trying to unlock it. As the door swung open, a thick red mist poured out. "Hurry, run," the old man screamed, staring in horror at sharp claws rising. "Is that my son?" he stammered before a scream of agony echoed through the house. The demon roared menacingly, its red eyes glowing with an eerie threat. Renee gritted her teeth, gripping her sword, ready to fight. A real demon possessing a human host. She charged, determined. "I have to take it down first." The demon's red eyes narrowed, and with one swipe of its claws, it sent Renee flying. She skidded across the ground, debris scattering. Julian glanced at her trembling hands on the sword, thinking, that sword, this might be Renee Rondell before her awakening in the story. He recalled their conversation after leaving the tavern. That's why she asked about mana. At this rate, Lady Renee is in danger. Julian smiled faintly, stepping in front of her. Renee shouted, "I don't need help." He shed his cloak, gripping a glowing blue sword, ready to fight. "No help. This is part of my mission." He turned to Renee, smiling. "And I can't let the Holy Sword's prized disciple get hurt." His red eyes glinted, thinking, better avoid unnecessary rumors. "The issue is the unfinished moonlight sword. I don't want Renee suspecting me needlessly." The demon grew impatient, roaring and charging. "I'll take it down on a whole different level," Julian vowed. The system activated, his gaze locking onto the target. A notification flashed. Insight trait activated. Julian narrowed his eyes, a blue light from the system flashing as it swiftly scanned the demon's body for weaknesses. In an instant, every detail of the creature materialized like a map in his mind. With precise movements, he unleashed a series of sharp slashes, his blade whistling through the air, targeting the weak points he'd identified. Spinning lightly, Julian glanced at the demon, a confident thought crossing his mind. Nailed it. But just as he moved to finish it, the demon roared, its wounds closing rapidly as if the attack had never happened. Renee charged in, her sword glowing brightly, engaging the demon head-on. Julian watched her struggle, sweat glistening on her forehead, her hands trembling slightly on the hilt. He cursed under his breath. "Damn it, it's already healed." Tension rising, he shouted, his voice echoing in the cramped room. "Lady Renee, make an opening. I'll strike again." Renee gritted her teeth, facing the demon's overwhelming power. Her face paled, her eyes flickering with determination mixed with anxiety. Suddenly, her gaze darted to the oddly red soup on the table, an idea sparking like lightning. Gripping the scalding ceramic bowl, she thought, This has to work. With all her strength, she hurled the bowl at the demon's face. It shattered, the red liquid splashing everywhere. The beast staggered, roaring in pain, clutching its face and shaking its head to regain focus. Renee closed her eyes, taking a deep breath to channel all her energy. Good. It's distracted, she muttered. Her sword blazed with radiant white light, like a flame igniting in the darkness. Focus. Make it count. But at that moment, the demon's massive arms swung out, lightning fast, seizing her. Renee was lifted off the ground, a crushing force making her cough up blood, her lips trembling. Damn it, it tracked its own scent. I was too arrogant, she thought, her grip loosening, her sword clattering to the cold stone floor. I couldn't create an opening. I have no face to meet Master in the afterlife. The demon opened its maw, revealing sharp, glistening fangs under the dim light. Lady Renee, Julian shouted, his voice urgent. She turned, eyes wide with shock. Julian, you. Julian's red eyes blazed, surrounded by the system's blue glow, like an eerie flame. You did well, he praised, his voice low but powerful. The demon seemed to sense danger, whipping its head around, its red eyes darting frantically. A surge of blue electricity crackled around its massive form. Julian smirked, his eyes glinting. In a flash, he lunged, his sword piercing the demon's chest, the glowing blade slicing through the darkness. The demon's grip loosened, and Renee fell free. Renee gritted her teeth, summoning her strength to deliver a powerful kick to the demon's face, the force snapping its head back, driving Julian's sword deeper. He gave a faint smile, decisively withdrawing his blade, causing the demon's body to collapse to the floor, black blood oozing from the wound, releasing a foul stench. Renee, panting, stood frozen, her eyes still wide with disbelief. I can't believe you pierced it without using the moonlight sword, she said, her voice trembling. How? Julian, demon blood smeared on his lips, flashed a smug grin. Let's just say it wasn't worth using the moonlight sword, he replied, his tone dismissive, though a flicker of panic crossed his mind. He glanced at Renee, thinking, does that expression look normal? Mission complete. They stepped off the carriage, the red sunset glowing on the horizon. We've reached the palace, Julian said, his voice relieved. They walked along a tree-lined path in the royal gardens, plane tree leaves rustling underfoot. Finished safely, at least, he thought, rubbing his sore shoulder and sighing. Lady Renee didn't suspect anything. What a relief. Renee suddenly stopped, making Julian pause. The mission reward is yours, she said, bowing her head, her hands clenched, her voice choked. I didn't contribute anything. Julian quietly observed her, his gaze sharp. For someone as proud as Lady Renee, admitting she owes me is rare, he thought. He turned, smiling. Don't say that, Lady Renee. With a cheerful tone, he added, though it's true you were overwhelmed by that demon. Renee frowned, clearly displeased. To her, Julian's kind words were like a passing breeze. She looked away, her voice firm. I don't like you. Julian remained relaxed, shrugging. You're too tense, aren't you? Renee clasped her hands tightly, standing tall, facing him with resolute eyes. My master always said, the greater the power, the heavier the responsibility. She recalled how Julian swiftly defeated the demon, reluctantly admitting, his victory over the demon was impressive. But she hesitated, her tone growing serious. Seeing you use your power recklessly, even toward the innocent, her face darkened. Now I understand why Master expelled you. You lack restraint. Julian flashed a sly grin, touching his chin, responding with a hint of arrogance. Restraint? That's a coward's weapon. Renee clenched her fists, shouting angrily. Are you calling my master a coward? Julian stepped closer, an invisible pressure making her instinctively step back. Renee, I'm not some noble bound by restraint, he said, his voice low like a warning. He turned away, leaving a cryptic remark. You need to realize there are people like that in this world. Renee stood frozen, muttering, what does that mean? Julian waved, grinning triumphantly as he walked off. Say what you want, you did well. Thanks for giving up the mission reward, haha. Left behind, Renee sighed in frustration, her steps heavy. He's so hard to understand, she muttered, her eyes still troubled. Restraint isn't just for nobles, it's for all knights. A carriage rumbled to a stop, and a middle-aged man called out, "Heading home. Renee?" She looked up, recognizing the familiar face. "Uncle Urgent?" He warmly invited. "You look exhausted. Hop on, I'll take you to the manor." Renee nodded, politely replying, "Yes, thank you, uncle." The carriage rolled along the dirt road, the steady clop of hooves blending with the evening breeze. Inside, Urgent gently asked, "The mission must have been tough." "Everything goes smoothly." Renee gave a faint smile, brushing it off. "Yes, mostly." "Thank you, Uncle Urgent." Curious, he pressed, "Who was the guy with you?" Renee turned, answering, "That was Julian of One Eye." Urgent nodded thoughtfully, a hint of concern in his eyes. "I thought so." A new face. He recalled Julian's arrogant, carefree demeanor, adding, "The elder council's in a frenzy over him. Rumor is he's pressuring them through the royals." Renee nodded quietly. "I see." Urgent crossed his arms, his tone serious. "He's putting pressure on the council. Nobles shouldn't act like that." His words made Renee flinch, like a puzzle piece clicking into place. "That's right, a branch family," she thought, recalling Julian's words. "So that's what he meant," she muttered, her eyes swirling with confusion. Urgent continued, his voice cautionary. "Stay away from him, Renee. That man's dangerous. Anyway, you're worthy of being Hayden's disciple. Maybe he's not as great as we think." Renee slowly shook her head, her voice firm. "That's not true, uncle." She looked at Urgent, her eyes brightening. "Whatever he is, he's truly skilled. I have my doubts, but," she clenched her fists, reluctantly admitting, "he's strong." The sky had darkened, the manor's lavish lights casting a glow on the road. In a secluded room, a shadowy figure sat at a desk, a low voice rumbling. "Julian, what exactly have you done?" Ordwin's face darkened, his eyes sharp as a blade, locking onto Julian with a voice heavy with authority. "What have you done, Julian?" Julian forced a smile, trying to stay calm. "What do you mean, sir?" But inside, his mind was a tangled mess. "No way." Images flashed through his head, an angry tavern owner demanding compensation, slum dwellers whispering complaints out of fear. Sweat beaded on his forehead as he thought, "I went too far. I've caused a huge mess." Ordwin's brow furrowed, his gaze growing stormier, like dark clouds before a tempest. He sighed, holding up 2 thin sheets of paper, his voice icy. The criminal Baden, wanted by One Eye, turned himself in. His eyes gleamed sharply as they fixed on Julian. When questioned, he trembled and named you. The mission was only to confirm demonic traces. Julian exhaled inwardly, relief washing over him like a lifted burden. "Just Baden," he thought, suppressing a faint smile. He spread his hands, feigning innocence. He probably realized his guilt too late. "I don't know why he mentioned me." Ordwin snorted, dismissing the excuse, and slid the papers toward him. "Probably another of your tricks. Check the mission reward and report back." Julian eagerly took the papers, his eyes lighting up like a child with a new toy. Mission reward, finally some money, he thought, imagining stacks of glittering nars. For a broke guy like him, this was a godsend. He recalled a servant once handing him a note, saying, "Sir Julian, the jeweler contacted us." He'd responded, "Really?" But upon reading the note, he froze. "We don't have enough nars for a batch of moonlight stones." He mocked himself, shaking his head wryly. Of course, Julian doesn't know the meaning of saving. Holding the paper, he read intently, heart pounding. "Can I cover the shortfall?" His eyes widened at the figure, 11,000 nars. Sweating, he calculated. Nars are roughly dollars, right? So about $15,000. Covering his mouth, he thought. Even with Ren's share, earning this in 2 missions is insane. Ordwin shook his head slowly, his voice tinged with regret. "Unlucky. It's lower than usual. Injuries kept me out too long." Julian's jaw dropped, stunned. "What? This is low?" For a game character, his sense of money is insane. His eyes caught a small line of text. "Maintenance and registration fees deducted." Fine, I like art. But as he read on, he nearly fell over. "What's this? Installments again? What the hell?" His eyes locked on the final line. Net reward, 900 nars. Shocked, he gritted his teeth, sweat dripping down his chin. That's it. I'm the one who's insane about money. Anxiety surged as he thought of the moonlight stones. Damn, I need a ton of nars for them, and I don't have a single coin saved. Slowly, he looked up, his voice trembling slightly. Commander Ordwin? She replied curtly, What? He asked, Any missions coming up? Ordwin raised an eyebrow, surprised by his rare initiative. First time you're this eager. Short on cash. She sighed, her tone laced with sarcasm. Sorry, none right now. I'll let you know later. That's why I told you not to buy luxuries beyond your means. But you didn't listen, did you? Julian looked away, embarrassed, thinking, if I'd bought it myself, I wouldn't be this annoyed. He muttered, Yes, ma'am. Ordwin propped her chin, smirking mockingly. Sell those luxuries to the gallery. You could buy a castle. An idea sparked in Julian's mind like a beacon in the dark. Without a word, he turned to leave, heart soaring. Perfect. Ordwin, caught off guard, blurted, Huh? Julian tilted his head, flashing a sly grin, declaring, I just need to sell everything. He strode off, leaving Ordwin stunned in silence. He's truly lost it, she muttered, shaking her head in exasperation. Two cloaked figures in brown glided through an intricately carved door, torchlight casting their shadows on the walls. A low voice spoke. That monster took down a demon without the moonlight sword. He's as dangerous as a wild stallion. It was Urgin, a noble elder of the council, his eyes icy. Aiden, another elder, smirked, revealing even white teeth. A servant bowed respectfully. Lord Aiden, I'm here to escort you. Aiden waved him off, his voice low. No, I have matters to discuss with my subordinate. The heavy wooden door closed with a creak echoing in the hall. In the shadows, a figure sat at a table, his voice cold. So the Elder Council doesn't support Julian. He leaned forward, a cryptic smile flickering in the dim light. Julian defeated a demon in the recent mission without the moonlight sword. His subordinate replied respectfully, Yes, sir. The confirmation unsettled him slightly. He's truly a monster. The subordinate calmly asked, Shall I proceed with your previous orders? The man raised a hand, his eyes glinting like a predator's. Do it. I'll recruit that monster and make him my strength. Meanwhile, at the Eid Cosmos Gallery, crystal chandeliers bathed the lavish paintings in light. Julian wandered among the artworks, his fingers grazing a frame. I thought I'd cash in while the iron's hot, but I'm not sure this will sell, he muttered, eyes tinged with worry. An appraiser, pale-faced, hurried over, bowing. Welcome, Sir Julian, he said, his voice slightly shaky. Julian smiled warmly, extending a friendly hand. Thanks for appraising this. The appraiser, Perso, followed cautiously, eyes curious. No trouble at all. It's an honor to serve the renowned one-eyed Julian. He pointed to an object covered in white cloth. Is this the item for appraisal? Julian nodded, pulling back the cloth. A vibrant painting emerged, its colors dancing in the light. Perso's eyes lit up, and he gasped, leaning in with a magnifying glass. Based on the unique technique, it seems like a work by Carusius Vincent. Julian leaned in, curious. Perso looked up, his voice certain. It's a fake. Julian froze, running a hand through his hair, cursing inwardly. Julian, you have no eye for art? He recalled the painting hanging at the villa's entrance, always thinking it was a masterpiece. Should have bought something else. He cleared his throat, thinking, selling a fake like this, your reputation's done, Julian. Accept it. Perso's face darkened, but he continued. I've never seen a fake crafted this exquisitely. Turning, his voice eager, I want to buy it. Julian smiled awkwardly. Even though it's fake? Perso grinned brightly, eyes gleaming. It's in pristine condition. How about 1,000 nars? Julian rubbed his neck, pondering. He's probably just pitying me. But 1,000 nars won't cover the moonlight stones. He nodded. All right. Perso gestured to the displayed paintings around the room. I'll prepare the contract. Feel free to view the other works while you wait. Julian replied. Sure. Suddenly, a gentle voice caught his attention. Selling it for that price, really? Eileen appeared, radiant as moonlight, approaching with a playful smile. That painting's definitely an original, isn't it? Before Lady Eileen's sudden appearance, Julian spun around, his gaze sharp as a blade, voice low and laced with suspicion. What are you doing here? And what do you mean by original? Arms crossed, He locked eyes on Eileen, his heart quickening with curiosity and caution. He awaited her response, unwavering. Eileen, the young woman with flowing golden hair like sunlight, tilted her head, her eyes sweeping over Perso, who trembled, clutching the painting as if it were a lifeline. Her voice turned sharp and certain. My cousin has some works displayed here, but never mind that. Suddenly, Eileen's gaze turned icy, piercing Perso with an invisible pressure that weighed on his shoulders, threatening to crush his mind. His body shook, the painting nearly slipping from his hands, sweat beading on his forehead. Eileen approached, each step light yet commanding, her voice cold as winter wind. In the Empire, no painter wields oil like this. She snatched the painting from Perso, her slender hands tracing its lines, eyes captivated as if unraveling a mystery. She paused, pointing to a small corner of the canvas. And this signature, she continued, voice like an arrow, is unmistakably Carusius's. Her words plunged the gallery into silence, as if time had stopped. Julian, nearby, studied the painting, his brow furrowing, eyes glinting with contemplation, as if weighing an unseen secret. Perso, trembling, sweat pouring, face pale with panic, stammered, unbelievable. I missed that signature. Julian turned, his gaze icy, voice slow but sharp as a sword, dripping with menace. So, you meant to deceive me, Perso? The weight of his words crushed Perso's chest, his breathing labored. He stumbled, collapsing to the floor, hands clutching his head, voice breaking in terror. I'm so sorry. Julian advanced, hand reaching as if to seize Perso's neck, eyes blazing with predatory fury. But Eileen swiftly grabbed his arm, stopping him. Julian, stop. Her voice was firm yet gentle, eyes gleaming with calm and concern. Mistakes happen in appraisals. No one's perfect. Her words halted Julian, his anger subsiding, replaced by unease and self-reproach. He thought, damn, I nearly lost it. Drawing my sword now, with all these witnesses, I'd look like the villain. He gave a wry smile, brushing off Eileen's hand, his tone softer but still edged. Fine, overdoing it would make me the bad guy. Eileen raised an eyebrow, her lips curling into a playful smirk, eyes twinkling with mischief. Worse than that. Julian's expression flickered with embarrassment, but he quickly regained composure. Turning to Perso, his voice calm, yet commanding. If it's authentic, the painting's value changes, right? Perso, still kneeling, eyes wide with terror, stammered. Why yes, he bowed, head hitting the floor, voice desperate. I'm so sorry. If it's original, my gallery can't afford it. Even all my assets wouldn't cover it. Julian laughed loudly, his voice echoing with glee, as if reveling in the chaos. He patted Perso's shoulder, his tone cold, a final warning. In life, incompetence can hold you back. Still, I'm stuck. What to do with this painting? Perso, tears streaming, was speechless, trembling in fear. Eileen spoke softly but firmly. I'll help you. Julian turned, curiosity sparking in his skeptical eyes. You'll help me? Eileen crossed her arms, sighing, her face slightly weary. Yes. I know someone who'd buy any Carusius painting, no questions asked. Just one person. Julian rubbed his chin, eyes sharp as if piercing her thoughts. But she raised her fan to her lips, eyes shy as if hiding a secret. 2 conditions. First, don't punish the appraiser. Julian nodded instantly, grinning. Fine. I wasn't going to do anything to him. Eileen hesitated, her eyes sincere. Second, I need your help with something only you can do. Julian smiled, confidence in every gesture. Sure. I'm free anyway. They shook hands, sealing the deal in the tense yet promising air. Eileen's voice grew serious. Don't misunderstand. I'm not helping out of kindness. You helped me in Jelen. I don't like owing debts. Julian nodded, laughing heartily. Then it's my turn to owe you. What exactly do you need? Eileen's voice lowered, eyes distant as if lost in memory. A guard at Betrayal Academy was patrolling. The air turned cold, terrifying him. He saw countless eyes staring, filled with killing intent, like they'd devour his soul. Julian frowned, suspicion in his eyes. Ghosts. She shook her head, voice firm but tinged with worry. Not quite. The administration ignored it at first, but strange noises at night in the old building grew. Guards were attacked, injured. Julian's brow tightened, curiosity and resolve flaring. If not ghosts, then what? Eileen's gaze turned cold, voice sharp as a blade. I think it's a demon. The academy's heavily protected, but I suspect a demon slipped through a weakened barrier. A deep voice interrupted. So you still need someone else's help? It was Hardy Godfrey, a Bayerl Academy professor, stepping forward with a mocking tone, eyes gleaming with arrogance. Pleasure to meet you, Julian. Eileen spun around, eyes blazing with anger. Can't you see me standing here? A greeting too much for you. Hardy shrugged, voice cold. We're not that close. Why drag a busy man like him into this? Eileen retorted sharply. Julian's a demon-slaying expert. To protect the students, we need him. Hardy sneered, eyes dripping with disdain. If you want to shed the Branch family label, try harder yourself. Eileen's eyes flashed with fury, her face flushing. You're the one who needs to try, Hardy Godfrey. Your last paper nearly failed. Shouldn't you rewrite it instead of mocking me? Hardy's face twisted, stung by the jab. What? A Branch family brat dares talk back. Eileen shouted, voice like thunder. What did you say? Julian, gripping his sword hilt, stepped forward, his icy gaze like a suppressed storm. Eileen's heart raced, thinking, is he angry over the family insult or my temper? She stammered, wait. But Julian drew his sword, its steel gleaming under the lights, freezing the air. Eileen's heart pounded, eyes shut tight. Hardy, panicking, raised his hands, face pale. Suddenly, a small stone hit Hardy's head with a dull thud. From the wall, countless shattered stones fell, revealing grotesque imp heads with blood-red eyes. Hardy screamed, voice breaking in terror, demons! They're in the walls. Julian sprang into action like a whirlwind, his sword felling imps with precise, deadly strikes, a dance of death. Finished, he turned, his cold gaze sweeping over Hardy, now kneeling and screaming. Save me. There's a demon on my back. Julian glanced, spotting a small demon clinging to Hardy, its red eyes malicious. His stare alone made it recoil, as if burned by his presence. Julian smirked coldly, voice like judgment. Main or Branch family, I don't spare demons. Gripping his sword, eyes blazing, he added, wanna live? Beg a Branch family to save you. Julian thrust his sword into the ground, the blade ringing with a chilling sound, obliterating the imp clinging to Hardy Godfrey. Hardy, pale with panic, spoke up, his trembling voice attempting arrogance. You're overdoing it. Eileen, nearby, flinched as if sensing something terrifying. Pointing ahead, her eyes gleamed with fear and resolve, shouting, there it is. The imps began to gather, their bodies swelling, emitting eerie magical tendrils like writhing black smoke. Their forms grew, creating an invisible pressure that made Eileen and Hardy tremble, hearts pounding. Suddenly, they merged into a giant rat with blazing red eyes and razor-sharp teeth glinting like steel. It swung its claws at the group, each step shaking the floor. Sensing imminent danger, Hardy spun around, eyes wide with terror, and fled, his panicked scream echoing. Julian stood firm, his face calm as a still lake. Raising his sword, its steel gleaming in the dim light, he spoke in a low, menacing tone. So this is its true form? The way weaklings band together and struggle, pathetic. His words, sharp as a blade, made the giant rat pause, its red eyes flickering with fear, its massive body quivering. The demon roared, its long tongue lashing out, swinging a powerful blow at Julian. Unfazed, he charged, his sword flashing like lightning. They clashed in a deadly dance, each of Julian's strikes precise and powerful. Finally, a critical hit landed, making the rat howl in agony, its cry tearing through the space. Watching the demon writhe, Julian thought, eyes cold, it's retreating, its main body shrinking. Seizing the moment, he rushed forward, facing the demon head-on. Gripping his sword, he delivered a final slash, sending the rat to the afterlife in a blinding flash. Eileen and Hardy, behind a protective barrier, watched with anxious breaths. As the rat was destroyed, countless imps scattered like nightmare fragments. Eileen dispelled the magical barrier, her hands trembling from tension. Turning to Julian, her eyes sparkled with admiration and curiosity. How did you know there was a demon here? Julian gave a cryptic smile, eyes twinkling mischievously. That's a secret. Inwardly, he thought. I sensed a strange corruption reading Lord Hardy's notes. But who here understands this game system? He kept his thoughts hidden, revealing nothing. Eileen turned away, her voice confident yet teasing. We'll get to that later. Even someone who scorns the main family? Now you're helping them. Julian raised an eyebrow. Surprised? Scorn them? Her voice sharp but playful. God, you forgot what you said? You called me a Tashaning half-breed. In her heart, a pang of old memories surfaced. He said that to me, a girl obsessed with power. Now defending the Branch family? So weird. He's still the same righteous yet half-hearted Julian from the academy. Her hands manipulated floating magical stones, glowing like tiny stars. She continued, voice dripping with sarcasm. Everyone's too scared to call you out. But your haughty attitude toward the Branch family, toward me, is daily routine. Julian paused, a hint of regret in his eyes. Rubbing his chin, he smiled faintly. I was wrong to say that back then. His words struck Eileen's heart, leaving her flustered. Biting her lip, she thought, wait, did Julian just apologize? But it doesn't quite feel like one. Resolute, she looked up, voice trembling but sincere. Anyway, thank you. Julian stepped closer, curious. For what? Blushing, she said, for handling that just now. He shrugged. No big deal. After repairs, the wall's debris was fully restored. Eileen wiped her forehead, sighing with relief. Phew, finally done. Julian, behind her, smiled warmly. Good work. Her eyes lit up with excitement. Now that you've slain the demon, let me introduce you to the painting's buyer. Julian met a man admiring the painting he brought. The man sighed, voice heavy with emotion. To see this before I die, truly fulfilling. Sipping tea, Julian smiled confidently. What do you think? This is Carusius's final work, Red Vineyard. Alum Corney, Bayerl Academy's vice dean, nodded, eyes gleaming with passion. A wheat field battered by a storm under a dark, ominous sky, soaring toward the horizon. Julian raised an eyebrow, thinking, an art connoisseur? To me, every painting looks the same, just fancy paper. He listened silently. Alum continued, voice somber. Behind the field are endless roads. Of course, I don't know where they lead. Julian mused, a profound interpretation. He spoke slowly. This painting feels lonely, conveying the artist's sorrow to his brother, who funded him greatly. He sent it with a letter starting. I poured all my sadness and soul into this. Julian pondered, eyes puzzled. Everything's connected? Sipping tea, he nodded. Exactly. Alum looked at him oddly, his body seeming to glow with golden light. Julian's heart raced. The color of suspicion? Is he doubting me? His system pinged. Color of suspicion, doubt. Frowning. He wondered, something wrong with the painting? But he dismissed it, eyes sharpening. No, it's authentic, based on Eileen and the vice dean's reactions. His face tightened, thoughts swirling. So what's he suspicious of? After a moment of contemplation, Alum Corney spoke suddenly, his voice low but commanding. Sir Julian. The call snapped Julian out of his thoughts, startling him, his heart skipping a beat. Yes, he replied, eyes flickering with unease. Alum Corney's piercing gaze seemed to probe Julian's soul. Do you truly understand this painting? Honestly, I feel you came to me for money. I can pay a fair price and buy it, but I want to deal with someone who grasps its value. His words struck like a sharp arrow, making Julian pause, his heart sinking slightly. He thought, eyes glinting with calculation, so that's why? Even if we make a deal, I won't get a high price. Quickly regaining composure, Julian cleared his throat, his eyes radiating confidence. This painting is described as Carusius's final work, correct? He passed away soon after painting it. That makes its value even greater, doesn't it? Alum Corney sighed, his eyes tinged with reflection. Then he smiled warmly, yet with finesse. Haha, you're right. Carusius died at the very location depicted in this painting. You have an eye for art. I misjudged you, Sir Julian. Julian scratched his head, cheeks faintly red. You flatter me. Alum Corney raised an eyebrow, voice eager. Shall we discuss the price? Julian nodded, a confident smile spreading. Absolutely. Inwardly, he sighed with relief. Phew. Good thing he agreed to the deal. Alum Corney held up 4 fingers, eyes sharp. What do you think of this price? Julian muttered to himself, heart racing. For 100,000 nars? Should I push for more? Rubbing his chin, he pondered, then spoke confidently. This work ushered in a golden era after the artist's death. I think you understand its value. Alan Corney's hand froze, his eyes flickering with hesitation. After a pause, he said, I'll add 100,000 nars. Julian's body buzzed with excitement, his heart nearly leaping out. 500,000 nars. Beyond my expectations. If nars equaled dollars, that was roughly 500 million won. He chuckled inwardly, disbelieving. This ugly painting is worth 500 million? Seeing Julian lost in thought, Alan Corney called, Sir Julian. The call jolted him back. Smiling, Julian said calmly, Now you see its value. Excellent. Let's proceed with the deal. Inside, joy surged. Perso said his gallery couldn't afford it even with all assets sold. Now I get why. Who could afford this price? Scene shifts to Betrayal Academy. Eileen pushed open a door, dim light illuminating her golden hair. She spoke softly, with respect. Vice Dean Alan Corney, you summoned me? Alan Corney, admiring the painting, turned with a kind smile. Ah, Eileen, please sit. He poured tea with magic, hands gliding through the air, voice warm. By the way, about the old building, is everything resolved? Eileen nodded, taking the tea, a confident smile on her lips. Yes, all settled, sir. Alan Corney exhaled, eyes showing relief. I was worried. Good to know. He paused, then asked, voice lowering, any difficulties? Eileen sipped her tea, eyes gleaming with pride. Nothing too challenging, sir. Alan Corney gazed at his tea, sighing with guilt. Sorry for leaving you with such a troublesome matter. His expression turned serious, eyes sharp. What I'm about to say stays between us, Professor Eileen. It's highly likely the Dawn Society caused this. Eileen frowned, eyes flickering with unease. The Dawn Society? Why target the Academy? Alan Corney shook his head, voice somber. I don't know their reasons, but there's indirect evidence. They likely exploited the weakened barrier. We're keeping this quiet to avoid panic. Eileen's face grew pensive, her grip tightening on the teacup, heart pounding with worry. She thought, a demon-worshipping group emerging in the Empire, the Dawn Society. Why attack the Academy? Seeing her lost in thought, Alan Corney reassured her warmly. Don't worry too much, Eileen. We've bolstered security and will do everything to protect the Academy. Eileen exhaled, eyes softening. Yes, sir. He continued gently. We resolved this thanks to Sir Julian, right? Eileen stammered, cheeks flushing. Sir Julian. Regaining composure, she asked, Speaking of, have you met him? Alan Corney laughed, eyes twinkling with satisfaction. Yes. Thanks to him, I acquired a priceless painting, haha. Eileen smiled sincerely. I wanted to thank him for slaying the demon, but he seems to have left. Alan Corney nodded, sipping tea. Indeed, he took the payment and left quickly. I heard he went to buy a ton of moonstones. Eileen's body jolted, spitting out her tea in shock, face red with astonishment. Wiping her mouth, she stammered, Moonstones? Standing abruptly, she said firmly, I have urgent business, and rushed off. Watching her haste, Alan Corney sipped his tea, eyes puzzled. Why is everyone so busy? Eileen raced to the gem shop, heart pounding with worry. The shopkeeper looked apologetic. Sorry, Lady Eileen. She cut in, voice firm. I'm sure you still have stock. The shopkeeper shook his head, stammering. Sir Julian bought more than I expected. Eileen slammed the counter, eyes blazing with anger. When will you restock? The shopkeeper trembled. It'll take much longer this time. Eileen's face darkened, her heart sinking. She stammered, voice desperate. No, I need those stones for my upcoming thesis. Her world seemed to collapse, tears streaming down. She screamed, voice breaking, Julian. Scene shifts to Julian. Julian stood before a man, eyes gleaming with satisfaction as he held a sparkling moonstone. Smiling confidently, he said, You want me to forge a sword with this gem? The man, a renowned blacksmith with a fiery glint in his eyes, nodded eagerly. Exactly. Julian's expression grew serious, presenting a large quantity of moonstones, voice resolute. Can you forge a sword like Silver Moon? Hearing Julian's request, Ruger Orland, the blacksmith, roared with pride and indignation. That's not a sword. It's a work of art. My pride won't allow crafting such a thing. His face flushed, eyes blazing with fierce determination, as if Julian's request insulted the honor of Blazing Forge. Facing the blunt rejection, Julian remained calm, his sharp gaze steady, voice gentle yet persuasive. I want it forged for combat. Ruger slammed his hand on the table, the wood cracking loudly, his voice resolute. No, that's just a luxury item. Pointing at the blueprint, his eyes burned with disdain. You brought this design? It doesn't qualify as a weapon. Want luxury? Look elsewhere. The argument intensified, the forge's air thickening with tension. Ruger continued, voice brimming with pride. Blazing Forge crafts only weapons for knights. Masterpieces like Heidenreich's sword, whom I admired. Julian didn't waver, his eyes gleaming with resolve. Stepping forward, he said firmly, I want mana circuits engraved in this sword, Ruger Orland. The blacksmith shook his head, a hint of mockery in his eyes. Even so, embedding a moonstone in the blade's core is foolish. No one can fight with a sword weaker than standard steel. Julian rubbed his chin, pondering, eyes calculating. A young woman, the forge's assistant, stepped forward, her voice soft but firm. Sir Julian, sorry, but we only forge weapons worthy of Blazing Forge's name. Each sword bears our emblem. If it shatters easily, our honor shatters too. Julian's heart raced under the pressure. He thought, trouble. I want it forged here, where Heidenreich's sword was made. After a pause, he raised his hand, voice stern, I understand. I'll ensure it doesn't break easily. Ruger pointed at him, eyes skeptical. You really think you can? Julian grinned confidently, eyes like fire. Yes, because I'm Julian. Doubt me? Test my skill. He slammed a special coin pouch on the table, smiling challengingly. Forge the sword first. I'll pay above the usual fee. Seeing the gleaming pouch, Ruger and the assistant hesitated, eyes wavering between doubt and curiosity. Sensing their indecision, Julian leaned closer, voice low and compelling. If the sword breaks during testing, I won't take back the money or the stone. Ruger frowned, thinking, this guy's that confident? After a moment, he sighed and nodded. Fine. If it breaks, we act like nothing happened. Days later, the sword was complete. Ruger presented it, eyes glowing with pride yet doubt. Here it is. Our best smiths work day and night. We failed many times to finish it. He looked at Julian, questioning, you really want to use this as a weapon? Julian took the sword, its blade reflecting light onto his face, making his eyes sparkle. Activating flawless swordsmanship, a surge of mana erupted from the blade like a storm. He nodded, voice confident, of course. Shall we test it? Scene shifts to the streets. A crowd gathered, their murmurs like crashing waves. Julian glanced around, surprised. Quite a crowd. The assistant, cheeks faintly red, said shyly, yeah, everyone wants to see. If you're uncomfortable, we can clear them out. Julian laughed, exuding confidence. No need. Ruger brought out an iron armor set, striking it firmly, voice challenging. Sir Julian, this armor was made for the test. It's no ordinary gear. Julian eyed the gleaming armor, nodding, eyes alight with excitement. Impressive. Ruger continued proudly. It's 1 centimeter thick, nearly pure steel. If we test, we go all out. He locked eyes with Julian. Try cutting through this. Julian gripped the sword, a confident smile spreading. Haha, you prepared well. Channeling power, his body and sword radiated immense energy, like a mana whirlwind. He shouted, exhilarated. Too easy a target would be boring. The crowd gasped at the surging energy, murmurs turning to cheers. Ruger nodded, muttering, eyes doubtful. Is that the rumored sword? Even with moonlight blade activated, that structure can't hold. Julian raised the sword, its light like moonbeams. His heart pounded with excitement. This feels different from before, like the sword found its own path. After a moment, he swung powerfully, slicing at the armor. A sharp crack rang out, the armor shattering instantly, steel fragments scattering like metal petals. The crowd erupted, screams of awe echoing. Ruger, face pale, exclaimed, impossible. The assistant covered her mouth, stammering, eyes wide with shock. How could he? Julian smiled, eyes gleaming with pride, infusing swirling mana into the blade, spinning endlessly. So this is the true moonlight blade. He gripped the sword, feeling its surging power. The assistant bowed, voice trembling. Without full force, our armor was reduced to pieces. Julian turned to Ruger, smiling confidently. What's next for testing? Ruger clenched his teeth, eyes complex, speechless, as if the forge's honor had been challenged by the sword they once scorned. The surging power still lingered in the sky, shimmering mana like fractured moonlight scattering through the air. Suddenly, a system panel appeared before Julian. Imperfect Moonlight Blade trait has evolved into Moonlight Blade. He smiled, heart pounding with excitement, eyes gleaming with satisfaction. A new trait activated? Holding the sword, he examined its flawless craftsmanship, pride swelling within. I poured so much effort into this, and not a single scratch. A perfect sword. I've finally succeeded. Ruger Orland, the blacksmith, approached from behind, eyes still tinged with awe. Covering his mouth, he spoke softly, voice trembling with respect. It seems I underestimated you. Julian sheathed the sword with a decisive motion, turning with a confident smile. Sometimes actions speak louder than words, don't they? Ruger nodded, his expression serious, voice low like a warning. But remember this. If that sword breaks, my reputation breaks with it. Wield it with that in mind. The words startled Julian, his heart stinging with the weight of responsibility. He turned, smiling, eyes burning with resolve. Understood. I'll use it worthily. At that moment, a man approached the pile of shattered armor, his gaze heavy with astonishment. Picking up a steel fragment, he muttered, blazing Forge's custom armor, sliced so cleanly. He looked up at Renee, voice curious. Was this Julian's doing? Turning to Renee nearby, his eyes sharpened. So he's been here. Renee frowned, surprised. Julian was here? The man picked up another fragment, inspecting it closely, voice pensive. Yet I don't sense Julian's spiritual energy here. He's impressive, a swordsman who channels all his power into his strikes. It'd be great to see him cut this armor. Renee sighed, eyes distant, thinking, could it be, master? She shook her head, hiding the worry rising within. The man turned, voice low and suggestive. Aren't you worried about Julian? Renee flinched, cheeks flushing, stammering. Oh well. He smiled, eyes mischievous. Right, you two just did a mission together. How was he? Renee lowered her head, voice soft but tinged with admiration. He's truly strong. The man nodded, eyes sharpening. More importantly, did you notice anything strange about him? Renee started, heart racing, turning to ask, voice trembling. Strange? What do you mean? His voice dropped, eyes darkening with hidden meaning. I mean, does he seem like someone from the Dawn Society? The words pierced Renee's heart like a dagger. Her eyes widened, voice faltering in shock. What? Julian, a member of the Dawn Society. Scene shifts to Julian. Julian walked the streets, two gleaming swords at his hips, sparkling under the sunlight. He smiled, eyes shining with pride. I'm becoming more like Julian every day. But his smile faded, replaced by a sigh, eyes darkening. I can't forget my goal here. I have to return to my real world. I can't live as Julian forever. He rubbed his chin, heart heavy. To return, this world must end. In other words, I must reach the game's conclusion. Hayden Reich must stop Demon King Barbados' resurrection. Shaking his head, his eyes gleamed with resolve. I can't keep living as Julian. His inner voice continued, low and serious. Where are we in the story? It seems the Dawn Society is emerging. They're a cult bent on reviving Barbados, the archenemy of Hayden Reich and Renee. Pausing, his eyes darkened thinking of Renee, especially since Renee's father, Ron Bell, was killed by the Dawn Society. I want to ally with Hayden Reich's side, but it's not easy. Rubbing his chin, he mused, like Julian would, should I infiltrate the Dawn Society for intel? But how? A sudden thought struck, startling him. The system pinged. Intrusion intuition trait activated. Julian sensed strange mana, as if someone was watching. Scanning around, he growled, voice wary. Who's there? Seeing no one, he muttered, heart racing with suspicion. An illusion? No, my trait activated. Gripping his sword hilt, eyes icy. He said, I don't know who you are, but I've sensed your mana. Show yourself. Slow footsteps echoed from the shadows. Julian narrowed his eyes, a smug smile forming as he recognized the figure. We've met before. Two strangers emerged like silent specters from the dark, their dangerous eyes making the air around Julian tense, like a taut string about to snap. Julian's mind was in turmoil as he thought to himself, I remember now. She's the witch wielding dark magic at an astonishing level. Eleanor, the bishop of the Dawn sect. And the person beside her. I can roughly guess who that is. The image of a woman without a cloak flashed in his mind, standing next to Drick with a stern face. Julian recognized their identities, sworn enemies of Hayden. He forced a friendly smile and said, Long time no see, Eleanor. You too. Eleanor didn't seem surprised. She removed her hood, her voice calm. And yet you still recognized me, despite how discreetly I'm dressed. She bowed politely, saying, As expected of you, Sir Julian. Julian smiled brightly, nodding in response. I can guess why you're both here. Eleanor clapped her hands, her tone cheerful. Since you already know our intentions, this should move quickly, right? I'd be grateful if you gave us an answer right away. The smile on Julian's face nearly faltered. He thought, exasperated. The truth is, I don't know anything. I was just bluffing. Normally, Julian would consider every possibility. He hedged. Well, I'd like a bit more time to think. Eleanor frowned, her voice tinged with displeasure. That's not ideal, Sir Julian. To his surprise, she pointed at him, her gaze sharp. You're the one who approached the Dawn sect and made the proposal, aren't you? Her words hit like a dagger, turning Julian's face pale. She continued, her tone calm but icy. You're the one who said you wanted to join the Dawn sect. Julian coughed awkwardly, inwardly grumbling. He went that far? Damn it, Julian. Cleaning up your mess is becoming my daily job. He recalled what he knew about Eleanor, the sword once held to his throat. No matter which path he took, Julian would fall to an enemy, and it was Hayden who had defeated him before. Gritting his teeth, unwilling to accept defeat, he craved the demonic power and ultimately joined the Dawn sect. Back in the present, Julian raised his head, his eyes blood-red, a sinister smile spreading across his face. His mind raced to figure out how to handle the two before him, but he responded calmly. There's no time limit to joining, is there? Around them, the silent buildings loomed, and a heavy atmosphere hung in the air. Eleanor spoke coldly. That's true, but you should know we could interpret it differently. Her pink eyes widened as she posed a theory. What if this is just an excuse to lure and trap us? Could your claim of wanting to join be a ruse? She pointed directly at Julian, her smiling face full of intent to expose him. Julian frowned slightly, panic evident. Damn it, they're doubting me. But he wasn't here to investigate the Dawn sect. He genuinely wanted to join. Closing his eyes, Hayden's image flashed in his mind. If the Empire finds out, I'm done for. That path leads to the worst outcome. It felt as if Hayden's stern eyes were piercing through him. If Hayden learned he'd joined the Dawn sect, Julian immediately pictured the worst-case scenario. Hayden slicing him in half with a single strike, or even if he managed to kill Hayden, it would still be a disaster. I might never escape this game world. His mind a tangled mess, he thought. How do I get out of this? Outwardly, Julian forced a smile. I didn't expect to be suspected to this extent. Eleanor crossed her arms, her gaze icy. You know too much. She pressed. What if you want to back out now? Julian responded calmly. And if I do? The man in black, silent until now, suddenly spoke, his voice deep. Then we won't let you leave here unscathed. A terrifying surge of power erupted from him, cracking the stone pavement beneath his feet. Julian's mind raced. A bishop? The Dawn sect's combat team, surpassing even ordinary knights. The man clenched his fist under his cloak, then flung it off. His eyes blazed as he roared. You'd better decide quickly, or I, Felker, will crush you. He pointed to a large scar on his face. Remember this scar? The one you left still stings. Julian groaned inwardly. You again, Julian? I'm getting sick of dealing with the trouble you caused. He replied nonchalantly, his tone provocative. Sorry, I don't make a habit of remembering small fry. His words enraged Felker, veins bulging on his face. He laughed maniacally. Ha! Julian maintained a calm facade, his provocative smile intact, but inside, he felt uneasy. Talking big like Julian is just going to get me beat up. Suddenly, Felker's massive figure blurred, vanishing in an instant. Felker reappeared behind Julian. He barely turned, glaring at him. Felker raised his fist, roaring, "Let's see how long you stay calm." The system promptly notified, "Trait, innate swordsman activated." In that instant, Julian drew his sword, blocking Felker's fist. His face paled as he realized, "Damn it, I grabbed the old iron sword instead of the moonlight blade." The gleaming sword still hung at his waist. He cursed himself, "My memory's garbage, unpredictable as hell. Just hold out as long as possible." Felker's fist unleashed terrifying power. Julian countered quickly, but Felker dodged the blade with a tilt of his body, clicking his tongue. The sword in Julian's hand began to crack like a spiderweb, unable to withstand the strain. Julian leaped back, thinking, "This is bad. Too dangerous. I need to retreat and regroup." But Felker seemed to sense his intent. Grinning wickedly, he flashed forward, appearing before Julian with his fist raised to strike. A punch packed with immense power sent Julian crashing into a wall. Debris scattered, and pain made him cry out. Leaning against the cracked wall, head slumped, Julian heard Felker's mocking laughter. "How's it feel to be beaten by a small fry, Julian?" The sword in his hand was now just a hilt. Julian sighed, unwilling to accept defeat. A crimson power flared around his body. "Why do I have to suffer for things I didn't do?" Like a flame consuming him, Julian slowly stood, roaring, "I'm sick of enduring things I didn't cause." His resilience stunned both Felker and Eleanor. Felker's eyes widened. "What? You still have the strength to move?" Eleanor sensed something amiss and shouted, "Wait, Felker, something's wrong." The system announced, "Your emotional state has reached its peak." Shadows obscured half of Julian's face. He stood, sighing. Raising his head, his eyes glowed with a terrifying red light, surrounded by cracks in the ground. His voice was low and grim. "What a hassle." The system continued, "Unique trait, awakened eyes activated." Julian's entire being seemed to erupt in a blaze of towering rage. He slowly drew his sword from its sheath, the steel glinting coldly under the dim light. Each step he took forward carried an overwhelming aura. Felker, seeing the sword radiating a fiery red glow, thought to himself, "His presence, it's completely changed. What is that sword?" As Julian showed no signs of stopping, Felker gritted his teeth and roared, "I'll destroy that sword too." But before he could say more, Julian charged with terrifying speed. His sword slashed down repeatedly on Felker, so fast the naked eye could barely keep up. Felker's eyes widened in horror as he looked at his trembling arm, now covered in dozens of cuts. He muttered, his voice faltering, "My arm." Then he screamed in excruciating pain, "AAA." Julian paid no heed to the agonized cries. His eyes turned wild, as if consumed by a frenzied rage. He pressed forward, attacking relentlessly. Despite his pain, Felker gritted his teeth, clenched his fist, and threw a punch straight at Julian's face, shouting, "How dare you?" But Julian only flashed a cryptic smile. His eyes gleamed, cold and sharp. His sword spun in a circle before slashing directly into Felker's chest. The powerful strike made Felker's massive frame stagger back, his mouth emitting tortured cries. Despite the barrage, Felker struggled to stay upright. He roared, "Get away from me. I said get away." As he spoke, he unleashed a flurry of punches toward Julian. With superior speed, Julian dodged effortlessly. He darted past Felker, delivering another slash to his side, causing Felker's body to tremble and collapse to one knee, crying out in pain. Clutching his wound, Felker's lips tightened, his eyes wide with a mix of fury and fear. He thought to himself, Is this Julian's true power? He's a monster." Julian, still in a heightened combat state, stared at the blood pooling on the ground and Felker's stunned expression. A strange sensation surged within him. Blood, the feeling of tearing through flesh and bone, and that pure, terrified face. Why does this feel so exhilarating? The system suddenly announced, "Awakened eyes, usable only by those with fox-like eyes." This skill activates only at peak emotional states, enhancing physical strength and expanding vision. Felker was now kneeling on both knees, nearly incapacitated. He stammered, his voice trembling. "Stop. Please, stop." The system continued. Awakened Eyes also makes the user extremely belligerent. As the notification ended, Julian raised his sword, his frenzied eyes locked on Felker, ready to deliver a finishing blow. He roared, "I don't want to." A thrust pierced straight through Felker's chest, making his eyes widen as he coughed up blood, his body on the verge of collapsing. Julian withdrew his sword, coldly staring at him, his voice low. "Your Iron Fist title is meaningless now." He stepped closer, grabbing Felker's hair and yanking his face up. Felker's face was filled with terror, his mouth muttering, Don't kill me." To Felker, Julian looked like a demon ready to devour everything. But at that moment, a small pair of hands touched Julian's shoulder from afar. He flinched. Eleanor approached, gripping his collar firmly, her voice stern. "That's enough, Julian. Don't you think so?" Her sudden appearance caused the blazing light of awakened eyes in Julian's gaze to fade. The killing intent within him dissipated. The system announced, "Awakened Eyes effect has ended." Julian stood dazed, thinking, What did I just do?" Felker, clutching his bleeding chest, groaned in pain. Now back to normal, Julian felt his body tremble with fear. He questioned himself, "Did I do that? What did I even do?" He recalled, "Those with fox-like eyes change personality when awakened eyes activate. My belligerence was pushed to the extreme. It's too dangerous." Regaining his composure, Julian turned to Eleanor, his voice low. "You started this." Eleanor, holding her weapon pointed at his face, smiled. Felker was indeed reckless. Julian continued, his gaze icy. "Even knowing everything, you can't do anything." Eleanor stepped closer, one hand threatening him while the other began healing Felker. She said, "I let you give him a beating already." Felker, feeling the magic flow into his body, thought, "This is magic? I can't move." Eleanor leaned close to Julian's ear, whispering, "But after witnessing this fight, I value you even more." She smiled, offering, "Why don't we work together?" The system announced, trait, charming mole, easily liked by others. Julian fell silent, not responding immediately. Eleanor continued, "You have nothing to lose." Julian turned, placing a hand on her shoulder, and replied, "You're right, but I still want to think it over." With that, he turned and walked away. Eleanor watched his retreating figure, muttering, "My trait still has no effect on him." She turned to Felker, who was slowly standing despite his pain. "So, Felker, anything different about him?" Felker stammered, "He's really stronger." Eleanor nodded, her voice low, "I knew it. His memory loss is definitely a lie. This is personal, so don't tell the other bishops." Felker nodded, "Of course." Eleanor glanced in the direction Julian left, sighing, thinking, "As expected, my trait has no effect on him." Back with Julian, he returned home, his body still trembling. Looking at his hands, he thought, "Awakened eyes? It's what let me escape that place. But I can't keep relying on such an unstable trait." He ruffled his hair, cursing inwardly. "What do I do now? If I side with the Dawn sect, Hayden Reich will kill me, and I'll never return to my original world. But if I oppose the Dawn sect, one of them will surely kill me." A cryptic smile crept across his face. "Maybe I should join the Dawn sect for real. I'll gather as much information as possible and stop the demon god's resurrection. That's the only way to return to my original world." The scene shifts to Jinmel Monastery, where Julian walked with a calm yet resolute demeanor. As he entered, he thought to himself, the Sun Church, the most widely followed religion on the Rosinda continent. A monastery under its direct control. Not ordinary at all. The moment he stepped inside, the crowd around him erupted into murmurs. Some whispered, "Julian, a man who doesn't believe in gods, coming to a place like this?" Others trembled, their voices laced with anxiety. "He's probably here to eliminate someone." Julian ignored the chatter, continuing deeper inside with a cold gaze. A bishop approached, his voice cautious. "Sir Julian, what brings you to our monastery?" Julian turned, offering a faint smile. "I'm here to meet the abbot." The bishop stammered, surprised. "The abbot? Oh, well." Inwardly, he thought, "I wasn't informed about this." From deeper within, a nun emerged, her sharp eyes fixed on Julian. "This way, please. I'll guide you," she said. Looking at her, Julian thought, "Oh, they sent someone right on cue, didn't they?" He silently followed her deeper into the monastery. Suddenly, a sinister purple mana emanated from her. She stopped, her voice low. "You arrived earlier than I expected. Honestly, I'd usually refuse." Julian narrowed his eyes, instantly recognizing her. "Eleanor." Keeping his composure, he smiled. "Eleanor, it's been a while." Inwardly, he mused. "She dares to drop her disguise right in front of me?" He continued, his tone laced with meaning. "Bold move. Hiding a Dawn sect base in a grand monastery like this." After some walking, they stopped before a large door. Eleanor pushed it open, her voice gentle but carrying a warning. "The Archbishop is waiting for you, Sir Julian. Please mind your manners." Julian smirked, replying confidently, "I'll consider it." In his mind, he thought, "She's far more cautious than last time." Why? Probably because the Dawn sect's leader is here. As they entered, the crowd below stirred. "That's Julian. He actually came?" The man seated on the throne in the center of the grand hall spoke in a steady voice. "You're Julian, aren't you?" Julian looked up, muttering to himself, calling himself the Archbishop without an ounce of dignity. This is the humble farmer chosen by the Holy Relic? He's Tenelon, the leader of the Dawn sect. Seeing Julian remain still, Eleanor turned to him, her voice urging, "Julian, kneel before the Archbishop." But contrary to her tone, Julian flashed a confident smile, retorting, "And why should I do that?" His words startled Eleanor. She pressed, her voice urgent, "Didn't you agree to join us? Prove your loyalty." Julian raised his hand, looking at his palm and laughing loudly. "Huh? I didn't come here to kneel for some fleeting faith. I came to establish a partnership." Inwardly, he thought, Julian suddenly joining a religion? Ridiculous. Act with confidence. It's better this way. He continued, his tone sharp. "You want my strength. As for me, I only need the power of the gods you worship." At this, the bishops nearby began to murmur. One spoke up, "Julian, huh? How dare he be so insolent?" Another added, "That arrogant fool only knows how to boast." Tenelon, seated on the golden throne, raised a hand to silence them, his voice calm. "Enough. For the sake of cooperation, right? Then there's no need to treat him like that anymore." He turned to the crowd. "Everyone except Julian and Eleanor leave." The crowd responded in unison, "Yes, Your Eminence." A few muttered, "What is he planning?" Once they left, Tenelon broke into a wide grin. "Huh? As the rumors say, you've got quite the spirit, Julian." He approached, clapping Julian's shoulder heartily, his voice excited. "Good. I like you even more." Then he turned, gesturing, "Follow me. I want to show you something." He led Julian into a restricted area, his voice low. "This place is only for bishops." Julian raised an eyebrow. "That's serious?" Tenelon nodded. "Because the Holy Relic is here." At the mention of Holy Relic, Julian's curiosity piqued. "Holy Relic? Huh?" Tenelon continued. "Why show you this place?" "Because I don't want you to leave. Letting you go would make you an enemy. But as an ally of the Dawn sect, isn't that far more appealing?" "Huh?" Julian rubbed his chin, smiling. "So you're saying it's fine if I'm just an ally, not a follower?" Tenelon nodded. "Exactly. I'll appoint you as a bishop. That way, you can fully wield the Dawn sect's power." The sudden offer made Eleanor turn, her voice anxious. "Your Eminence, promoting him so quickly?" But Tenelon ignored her. He extended a hand to Julian. "This is the treatment befitting a hero of the Northern Front." Then he turned to Eleanor. "Eleanor, are you questioning me?" Eleanor bowed awkwardly. "My apologies." Tenelon looked back at Julian, laughing. "Huh? So, Julian, are you satisfied with this arrangement?" Julian smiled. "Yes, thank you, Your Eminence." The group proceeded deeper inside. At the center of the room, a fountain glowed with crimson water. Eleanor turned to Julian, smiling. "Ha, good. Since you've come this far, I'll show you one more thing." Tenelon approached the fountain. Before Julian's astonished eyes, he asked, "That golden chalice, is it the Holy Relic?" Tenelon nodded. "Indeed. The great treasure that chose me." Julian stared at the chalice, thinking, this is the sacred relic, the source of the demon god. An object that can manifest the will of Demon King Barbados in physical form. Tenelon raised his hand. From the chalice, a stream of crimson liquid shot into his palm. Holding the dark object, he turned to Julian. I feel like I've seen you somewhere before. Julian eyed the object, guessing, a demon's horn? Tenelon nodded, his voice excited. Exactly. Through this relic, I can craft demon horns, the source of their power. Impressive, isn't it? Julian thought. This is the first time I've seen how demon horns are made. But I know the true nature of this relic, and what happens if I use that horn. Eleanor's voice snapped him out of his thoughts. Julian. He smiled, responding, oh right. Fascinating, a demon's horn. Stepping closer, he pointed at it, asking, so, if I use this horn, I can tap into the demon god's power? Tenelon nodded. Precisely. Julian continued, his voice resolute. Then I've definitely come to the right place. This horn will be the stepping stone to my dream. Tenelon's face lit up with excitement. He shouted, if you say that, then take it. From now on, this horn is yours. The abrupt action startled both Julian and Eleanor. Julian took the horn, his expression shifting. A cold glint of killing intent flashed in his eyes. He thought, he's giving me this so easily?